Hey, Patriots fans, if you want to see Toyota's best offers, including those not seen on TV, go to buyatoyota.com. It's Toyota's official website for deals from the official vehicle of the New England Patriots. Toyota, let's go Patriot places.
Some of the content of Patriots Unfiltered may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
Paul dancing on the table was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, he just got up and started working it.
The shirt off, the nipple clamps. It was great.
Yeah. and Paul goes back to his high school.
Everett
Legends.
High School, the statue.
Oh, it's like they carry him in like Cleopatra.
He's back. He's back.
Yeah.
Who? The lefty.
Perillo.
The
Remember
lefty
him?
quarterback?
No.
He's in the BU Baseball Hall of Fame.
It is. He really is.
I don't know why you guys have to make fun of it. It's a fact.
Where I arrived was like, is it realistic?
But you don't want to spread Mayo too thin.
Let's just keep Mayo on the side for the second and talk about.
He's the best. He workshops them and they come right on.
Paul, how did you remember the first Pittsburgh-Cleveland game? That's just stuck in my head right now.
It was a Sunday night game.
It's like the first one. I'm like,
You go to bed after the first series. How do you
Doesn't mean I
remember
don't know stuff.
And just for the record, if she ran to me, it would give me the ick instantly.
Wow.
Like be an adult.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Tuesday here at Gillette Stadium, and it's the week after the bye, so we had a chance to watch the NFL without having to worry about the Patriots. So maybe today's a good day to catch up on everything else that's going on with the league, as well as getting, of course, ready for the Giants. The big topic there is who's going to be the quarterback, and the answer is everybody's got to be ready.
everybody's got to be ready.
And it's Tuesday. We'll see.
Well, it's actually Wednesday.
Right.
Well, okay, but like the first practice for the upcoming team is about to happen.
Also, I think, sure, it's Tuesday and, there's still time, but, I just want the same energy as the Jets. They literally made their quarterback change. They announced it. It's wide and open. There's no confusion. Why not just let it be out there? Why play the guessing game?
Because
what
then
if
the
it's-
Giants can prepare for what quarterback
Oh
it's
my
going to
God.
be.
They're
and
all
we're
the
going to lose
same.
that
Well, they're all-
advantage.
No, but what
They're all
if
the
what if
same.
honestly Bill hasn't made a
Good,
decision
Mike.
yet? What if he hasn't?
I don't think he has.
Just gonna
Yeah,
see
I
how
don't
it
either.
goes.
I don't think he has made a decision.
I do.
You do.
Yeah.
And what do you think it's going to be?
Oh, I don't know what it is.
Okay.
But I
Yeah.
think he knows. I think the team knows.
Well, see, maybe it's not as clear cut as the Jets. I think it's clear cut with the Jets
Well, I think it's exactly the same.
for here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's as clear cut. I mean, he just took him out with the game on
I
the
know,
line.
and
the
I
last
don't,
game.
and I think he regrets that decision.
I don't.
I don't
do.
think so either.
I think it was the wrong decision. The more I've thought about it, I think it was the wrong decision.
Don't you just think they must really hate Bailey Zappe? I don't like. It just seems like Mac is like Jason Voorhees. He just keeps coming back right now, no matter what he kind of does. I thought that interception. I mean, you're probably right. Maybe just let him finish it out one series, but how can you go back to him now? How much do you hate Bailey Zappe?
Like I said last week, you look at him after that interception. You say, "Hey, chin up. Look at me. You're going to get the ball back. We're going to have a chance to win this game. Let's talk about how you're going to do it." And see his response. Give him that last chance.
They haven't given him any type of
And then if he
encouragement on
does
the
it again, now it's a clear thing. Okay.
But what if he said that to him after he threw the should have been interception to Hunter Henry?
Yeah.
Chin up. We'll get him on the next one. Blah, 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 blah,
Maybe.
What if he had already said that to him?
He might have. I don't know. And maybe that's why they pulled him. But from what I know, I think it was the wrong decision.
Yeah, I just don't think it has anything to do with Mac, really. It's just like Zappe had any kind of competence, they probably would have already given him
I think
the
so
chance.
too. I think it's they know it's not going to be any better. Let's stick it. Let's ride it out with this kid.
Yeah.
And
then that's why a lot of people out there are doing let's put Will Grier in. We don't know what he's like. He hasn't spurned us yet. He hasn't gone out there and been booed by us yet. Let's give him a chance to be booed. What really does anyone know about Will Grier or Malik Cunningham for that matter? So I don't know. I'm getting worried it's going to be Mac still.
I don't knock that idea of seeing Will Grier because, honestly, when I heard Tommy DeVito was going in, I'm like, oh, that's going to be a nightmare. Their third string who you have no intention of playing and comes out and wins last week. I'm not saying he's going to do it again this Sunday, but,
It took
Wasn't
6
expecting
turnovers by the Commanders for him to win
But
the
still,
game.
he got it done.
Yeah. No, I mean, and like, I mean, to your point though, Tamara, too, it's like Will Grier. He hasn't been here very long, but he's been in the league. I mean, at least Tommy DeVito's a rookie. He's had no experience prior to that, so I would at least hope even Will Grier coming into this situation later would have a little bit more possibility than a rookie.
I think the correlation there between the Patriots and Giants is more apt than the Jets in the Patriots.
Well, the Giants, I mean, their quarterbacks are hurt.
The Jets conceivably could still back their way into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Like, they're still trying to get, like, what can we do to scratch out these wins? Doesn't matter with the Patriots and the Giants.
Well, do you feel like the Jets did it too late, though? I mean, it doesn't seem like you really learned anything about Zach Wilson.
This should have happened in week 3.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. It's tough to manage, tough to figure out.
Anyway, it's Deuce, it's Tamara, it's Evan, it's Paul, it's me, it's Matt in the booth. We'll be here for 2 hours talking Patriots. 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket Hotline. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address. Yeah, so there's a lot of quarterback strife going on in the league. Lots of teams having issues at that position.
Yeah, there's not a lot of great play, a lot of backups getting chances, and
too many injuries.
A lot of injuries.
Yeah, a
like
lot of injuries.
Burrow and Watson being out for the year is wild.
Yeah, it stinks.
Yeah.
Well, Watson.
Yeah.
Karma.
Well, with Burrow, it couldn't happen to a worse team.
Yeah.
I feel for him because I like Burrow. He's being wasted on the Bengals, but I'm happy that it happened to the Cincinnati Bengals.
How quick can they tank and get him like another top 10 weapon? Like that's is what's going to happen. It feels like
right.
when he goes
well,
out.
They're just not going to re-sign T. Higgins and then just draft Marvin Harrison
Right,
Jr.
right,
or
right.
something like so,
just like clockwork.
Yeah, I do think that some of Tom Brady went on with Stephen A. and was talking about the quality of play and how terrible it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a little bit of like old man get off my lawn.
100%.
And it's like the quarterback play now is definitely more volatile than it's been in recent years. There's more great plays and then there's more turnovers, and that's a fact. But some of the plays individually that guys are making at the quarterback position are absurd throws that guys were not making 20 years ago.
Well, on your show, Paul, they had a little discussion about this yesterday about, why isn't the quarterback play in the NFL better? The argument was, well, in college, they look better because they're playing,
currently on injured reserve. I don't know.
Because, they're playing against lesser quality people. The speed of the game is less and all that. And Felger was like, well, no, I mean, there's plenty of great players that come out of college on all the other positions. We're able to fill all those positions. But Tony then made the point, well, there's only one quarterback really per team and per, that's in college, so it's a little bit different to compare, cornerbacks to quarterback because there's more cornerbacks, to choose from every year. But, I'm not sure the problem is.
I don't think it's as deep. I mean, I know statistically there's been a drop-off. I do think this has been a little bit of a resurgence defensively around the league. I think there are a handful of teams that have good to, really good records that are led by a dominant defense, Cleveland sort of being at the top of that list.
Yeah.
But I think it's overblown a little bit with the down. I agree with the way Evan just said. Like, I think there's more young quarterbacks coming into the league playing at a reasonably high level than we've seen in the past. It takes time.
Right.
These guys can't just – I think that's number one is
it's a hard position.
But you take a top 10 quarterback, and that guy plays almost always from day one now.
Yep.
That didn't always used to be the case.
It's because of the contracts.
So those guys come in, and they need to learn a little bit, and they play. Like, I think C.J. Stroud has been really good, but he's going to make mistakes. He's a young quarterback who threw 3 picks the other day. Like, it's going to happen. Bryce Young, I don't think Bryce Young is a stiff. I know that's the consensus because, I mean, after all, he's played 10 games, so you might as well close the book on him,
right?
Ben Volen. I just don't understand why people wouldn't look at that and say, yeah, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, and then go back, to the MAC class with Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. There's young quarterbacks playing a lot of snaps right away. It's not going to look as good as Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning.
Right.
It's just not.
But there's this rush now to see before that you have to make that decision for the 5th year and all that. Like, we need to know. And so they feel like they can't waste any time him sitting on the bench a season or two. But Bill Walsh wrote the book back then saying every quarterback should be given 2 years just to watch.
That's, not going
Can't do
to
that
happen
anymore.
anymore.
You can't do that anymore.
And not a big part of it, but I do think it's probably when you hear about these stats about numbers being down. I mean, I think Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers both effectively being out of the league this year. I think that has some impact. Those are two, MVP type quarterbacks that this year they're out of the mix. They're not contributing to those stats anymore. So a lot of factors.
Yeah.
And then put into the, sorry to cut you off, Evan, but just real quick, I think you're up to 7 starting quarterbacks that are currently out for the year or out for big chunks.
I believe it.
That's almost a third. That's a lot of quarterbacks. That's a lot of guys. To Mike's point, if Aaron Rodgers were playing every game, we wouldn't be looking at the Jets being so miserable.
Right.
Yeah.
They'd have no excuse.
With Zach Wilson. They would have that would be another really good team playing really good offense. I just.
But that game.
I just think it's overblown.
That
That's
game
all.
last night, 21-17. Why is Kansas City having trouble? Because you look at
Those guys
Mahomes.
are dropping wide open.
Right.
Because they have 26 drop passes.
He's playing well. I'm sorry, but you look at Mahomes and he's still Patrick Mahomes.
And even Mahomes, you turn it over twice in the red zone, you drop another touchdown in the red zone. Even if you're Mahomes, you're only going to score 17 instead of 30.
So then you look at the wide receiver position, and we talk about there are not enough good quarterbacks out there. Maybe there aren't enough really good wide receivers out there. Because his receivers and who was Burrow had guys dropping passes before he got hurt, and who was the other quarterback on Sunday that Herbert got let down by his receivers?
Keenan Allen of all people.
Yeah,
right
that was
chest.
unbelievable. And then Quentin Johnston drops the potential game-winning touchdown.
And that's making his stats look bad. But Herbert had a great game.
Yeah.
There's another one, not according to Volan. There's another one.
Justin Herbert's not good.
Oh no, he got the 4th and 1 pass knocked down. You didn't know? He's 6'5". It's maddening. I'm like, do you watch any of the rest of the game?
The throw that he made.
How many balls has Tom Brady had batted down? At least 3 a game, or I'm exaggerating, but at least one a game.
The throw that Justin Herbert made to Quentin Johnson that Quentin Johnson dropped was ridiculous. Moving to his left, gets off platform, sees it backside, and rips like a 45-yard
The whole thing with
dart.
Justin Herbert that I could listen to because you're on 3 years now. You might just have one of those things where bad things seem to happen to him. That had nothing to do with him.
I mean, that team just doesn't know how to win.
A lot of it was Brady Manning. Fred and I used to talk about this all the time. Peyton Manning would go out in a playoff game and throw for 430 yards, and his idiot kicker would hook one into the bleachers.
Liquored up kicker,
that's
right?
not his fault.
Yeah.
But sometimes that just happens, whereas Brady would just go out there and, he would just go boom, boom, boom and make the play when he had to. Maybe not be great the whole game, but when he had to be, it worked, and he was as clutch as anybody who's ever played, and he'd win. Brady always won, and Manning always seemed to lose.
I would love to see Justin Herbert with a competent coaching staff.
Well, they're coached well on offense, but they in terms of learning how to win late in games. That whole DNA is just they don't have it. The Chargers just don't have it.
Plus, it still feels like the Chargers' DNA of can't win in cold places a little bit too. I'm just curious in a couple weeks here.
They're just one of those teams that finds a way to lose all the time.
Here.
No, do they have they can't
I don't know.
win in cold?
That was what I was thinking about with
Are they
Green
Drew
Bay.
Brees?
With Green Bay, that's
Record
what,
under 40 degrees.
I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know that they had.
I have to consult it, but it just feels like that's the Chargers' general.
I just think the Chargers find ways to lose.
Yeah,
one way or another. Good matchup here for them.
It's just the quarterback thing to me. I think we're coming off an era with Brady and Manning and Rodgers and
Rivers.
It's the golden era of quarterbacks. It's the best era of quarterbacks in the history of the league. So obviously it's not going to be as good when those guys start to retire. I mean, even when that was going on, Ben Roethlisberger was in that era too. Philip Rivers was in that era too. Matt Ryan. These guys are just
secondary guys that you kind of think of. Well, they low key stunk, but
right.
So is
comparatively they were great.
Yeah.
But Paul kind of mentioned it. Our defense is catching up a little.
I think that there's some things that defenses are doing that are working more often than what it was before. A lot of like the pressure schemes and stuff like that they're running. I know, Spags, the Kansas City defensive coordinator, got a lot of kudos from Film Twitter last night for his game plan against Jalen Hurts. So there are some things
Film
that
Twitter.
Are you the leader of Film Twitter?
Oh no. I'm just simply
Founder.
I'm just simply a
Contributor.
He's
what's the
also a
word?
client.
I'm just simply a member, not the no. The guys that like actually coach football, they're the leaders. Not.
So I would say with the defense part of that, Freddie, and I think that ties into the inexperience at quarterback. I think what teams have started to do, and this started last year when the points were slightly down. A lot of the cover two, keeping everything in front, making teams go 10 plays instead of the big plays. And that makes it harder for a young quarterback to avoid that mistake.
Yeah.
He's not seen all of those things
Right.
all the time. It's easier to do the dialed-up pressure that Evan's talking about once. You only have to do it once out of 10 plays to knock a team off script.
Got a lot of creepers.
Yeah, and that keeps the score down a little bit.
pressure.
Yeah.
And I also think even when the offenses are having success, when it's taking you 8 minutes, 9 minutes to score, that keeps the score down too.
Yeah.
So we're saying that Bill was ahead of his time with the bend but don't break defense.
Bill
over the
was
years.
ahead of
Bill was
the,
ahead of his time with a lot of stuff.
the pressure packages that teams are running now are a lot of things that the Patriots have been doing for years. And I'll give them that. I mean,
That's what makes the current situation so maddening.
yeah,
Fred.
Right.
yeah, they started running, like the zero blitz stuff where teams now they're putting 6-7 guys up at the line of scrimmage, and then 9 times out of 10 they drop out of it and they fall into coverage. But that one time that they bring the house, it's the one time you're not expecting them to bring the house, and then that causes chaos. And the Patriots have been doing that since 17, 18, somewhere around there. So per usual on that side of the ball, they're still trailblazer.
I think what I'm interested in is what kind of dynamic is this going to set up down the road? Because we mentioned all these top-notch quarterbacks, like Brady owned the AFC East for a long time, and as a result, the other teams were always kind of in a state of looking for a coach, looking for a quarterback. It keeps kind of turning over. You don't really have those same power structures in a lot of these divisions now anymore. Like the AFC South, there's not really a top dog who's going to own every. Peyton Manning owned the AFC South. I mean, Phillip Rivers probably largely owned the AFC, but there aren't that anymore. So what's going to happen with these quarterbacks like Sam Howell or quarterbacks who are okay? I mean, maybe that's a bad example because you feel like the Eagles are going to kind of own things. But for teams like in the AFC East where it's kind of up and down right now, Josh Allen's good, but not like going to dominate everybody. Tua's really good. It's tough for the Patriots. But just what's going to be the end result? Are we going to have a lot of teams looking for quarterbacks, or are we going to have a lot of teams with just solid quarterbacks that aren't trying to enter that mix every single year, trying to turn things over? We'll be more allowing for teams to develop quarterbacks because you're not there isn't this huge divide.
There's not that pressure.
Yeah.
That all the other AFC East teams felt. Miami, Jets.
You're constantly chasing it, and I don't.
Well, I think that word that you use is development, and I think that what I would say is going on around the league right now is that teams are screwing up the development aspect of the quarterback, and they just are expecting to draft these guys in the first round and take them, and their talent is just going to carry them. And you look at the Patriots, the Jets, the Bears, all those teams from the 21 quarterback class for the most part, they've all screwed up developing their quarterbacks. Like maybe you think that Zach Wilson would have stunk anyways, like who knows? But the Jets have certainly not done him any favors by the way that they've developed him. The same with Mac Jones here, and your guy Kenny Pickett, Tamara in Pittsburgh. Now he's on another offensive coordinator, and they haven't really figured it out. So that I think is the biggest thing, is that if you're going to draft one of these quarterbacks, you have to nurture them. Like you have to put them in situations where they're going to develop into good players, because you can't just expect them to do it all on their own.
Understanding that it is a tough position to play.
And I also think the style of quarterback has changed since like Brady and all of them. Like these guys are all dual threat quarterbacks for the most part, or they can do both. And I think Brady is not like that. Like Brady is not like anything that we're seeing right now with Jalen Hurts, Mahomes. Like they're two different people.
Yeah.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Like they're both good quarterbacks, one way or the other. But I think now a lot of the quarterbacks are trending towards the Mahomes.
I think you have at least have the ability to take advantage of when there's open space in front of you, because otherwise you're kind of a sitting duck in today's NFL. You have, Joe Burrow's not a running quarterback, but he can run.
Yep.
You have to be at least
Daniel
that.
Jones can also run.
Yeah, in today's
Not
NFL,
right now,
you need to extend the play.
I think that
That was low key funny.
Not right now.
the one thing watching the teams around the league over the weekend was just all these quarterbacks now can win on extended play, second reaction type plays, where when the original play breaks down, they can run around a little bit, and even if it's just a little dump off, over the middle or something like that, they can at least create a little bit. Now the good ones, like Stroud made that throw to Tank Dell, that's just absurd, but like some of them are also just kind of running around and creating a little bit of space to just drop it to the running back in the flat or something like that. And if you can't do that, if you can't add that, then you're kind of screwed. Like there's not enough good plays to go around if you can't do that.
I want to push back a little bit on the Zach Wilson not being quote unquote nurtured, because I think he didn't like LaFleur as an offensive coordinator. They went out and got him more of a veteran offensive coordinator in Hackett, and that hasn't worked. They drafted a litany of skill position guys: Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Breece Hall, offensive linemen early in the draft, and like Elijah Vera Tucker, first rounder. At some point, it's got to be on him.
Yeah, no, that might be a bad
yeah.
one, but I just think that in general, if you look at the guys that are succeeding in the league versus the young guys that are succeeding versus the ones that aren't, most of the ones that are succeeding are in these like stable environments with the same offensive coaches every year, and their teams are offense first and forward thinking with personnel and adding personnel.
That's the key to me is when we were talking, Mike, when you brought up the whole AFC East and like the divisions, and you have someone, I do think that Buffalo put pressure on the rest of the division to keep up. They told you Buffalo's the king of the division because they score 30-plus most weeks. And Miami went out and they got an offensive guy that said, I can win with this guy, but we just need to get some speed around him. And it worked. Now, sometimes there's a lot of these teams, and Fred will give you the laundry list of the AFC East teams that tried to do this to keep up with Brady and just failed.
Yep.
They couldn't put the pieces around a quarterback or a coach, and it was just every year we were doing these previews for the Bills, the Jets, and the Dolphins, and it was a different coach, a different quarterback. I think Rich Cimini had a thing on Twitter yesterday that this is like his 30-something starting quarterback that he's covered, in his time covering the Jets. Like, I've covered like 3. It's unbelievable, some of the differences that you can see. But I do think Miami felt pressure to keep up with Buffalo. And now it's a 2-horse race in that division. The Jets and the Patriots have to figure out, where do I find the offense to keep up with these two teams, because that's what it's going to take. And I think Evan's right. You need to find that offensive mind to sort of keep up. That's how I feel about it, too. I'm with Evan on that.
And the next place my head's going to, though, is, Evan saying we have to nurture the quarterback. Well, if you draft, Drake Maye or Caleb Williams, how do you nurture them? Like, how do you nurture them with this team right now? I mean,
tell them it's going to be okay.
They're right. Well, but it's just you only have.
And you give them a trophy.
But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's hard to like say. A lot of these how are we going to put it all into place to nurture this guy?
It's easy to say. Harder to do.
I think Zach Wilson's probably a bad example because he just stunk to begin with and just was never good. But Mac at least had some promise in his rookie season, and I think what you see and what you learn from it is that it's almost, like a kid, like the nurture is just as important as the DNA, right? Like of what you put around him and who's coaching him and having stable coaching year in and year out. So to answer your question, I would say that you have to have one voice speaking to Caleb Williams for the rest of his career if you can. Like, that's ideal. And you have to continue to add offensive talent around him. Like, just because you draft Caleb Williams, you can't just say, well, he's going to make, Devontae Parker and Kendrick Bourne and Pop Douglas and this offense a viable offense just because he's that good. It's not that simple anymore. The guys that are succeeding are the guys that have, arsenals around them that are even Patrick Mahomes is.
I mean, if I was the head coach or GM, if I got Caleb Williams or Maye or whoever, first thing I'm saying, okay, how's our line? Like, is the line good enough? I want to make sure that he's going to be protected. No. I'm not saying that we have to, like, spend a lot of assets on drafting high draft picks, but is our line stable? And if it's not, I want to.
If the quarterback is good, it will be.
Yeah. but he's not going to be good right out of
Even a
the
rookie,
right
though,
out of the
like,
gate.
That's
Well,
where
I don't want to get him killed or anything.
Right.
I mean, there's a difference between being like the
Yeah.
Jets and
he's not,
like
he's not going to be
you know,
great
just
right
being
out of the
okay.
gate. So he's not going to elevate his line in year one. So I just want to make sure the line is good enough so that he doesn't get his head bashed in year one.
Well, that's along the lines that I'm going. Is there ever a situation where you're going to say, and Evan knows where I'm going with this, like, we can't nurture him right now. We don't have the pieces along the offensive line. We don't have the weapons.
But I think you can do that.
You know?
Again, I don't think you need first or second round draft picks to make sure you have a good line. And second thing, who's my offensive line coach? Is he any good? You know, can he take fourth round, fifth round picks and turn them into NFL players? Because that is what you need to do in the NFL. You can't spend all your assets on high draft picks on the offensive line. Because if you do that, you're going to sacrifice all the other positions that need help too. Who's my coach? Can he mold these guys into good NFL players? And I didn't say great. I just said good.
It's gone both ways because the Niners and the Eagles are built from the trenches. Like those two teams built the offensive line first and then dropped the skill positions players in there afterwards. Like the Eagles line is the same line that they won the Super Bowl with in 2017. It's Jason Kelsey, it's Lane Johnson.
That's a really good offensive
like
line.
that offensive line's been the same group. You know, Dallas, that's pretty much the same group that it's been throughout Dak's entire career. So there are teams now that are doing it both ways. I think to Deuce's point, you know, if you draft Caleb Williams in the first round with the first overall pick or whatever, then in veteran free agency, whether it's T. Higgins or it's trading for Brandon Ayuk or it's whoever, like that has to be your big move in the offseason is, you know, he's going to have somebody now to throw to. And you have to fill in the rest, like you were saying, Fred, with, second and rounds 2 through 7 is going to have to be the line and everything else. But I think that's the way that you have to start if you're the Patriots. You have to get the quarterback, and you have to get the quarterback a true number one receiver, not any of this stuff that they've been rolling out lately.
But by that, you would go receiver, in free agency then. I mean, because you're going to free agency in February. Like that's, at that point, are you committed to we're going to take a quarterback at the top? Like, or do you overextend yourself with a tackle and say we're not going to draft a tackle?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit scared with them drafting a wide receiver like in the first round. So say if they don't get the quarterback and they're trying to go for the wide receiver, that scares me because they can't develop that either.
Yeah.
Well,
you know who else?
It's
it probably
Marvin
scares?
Harrison Jr.
Yeah. It probably scares Robert Kraft, and he might, there was I don't know if you want to call it a slip up yesterday by Bill O'Brien, kind of intimating that, about the quarterback decision. We'll talk, and he mentioned Robert Kraft's name. Now, I think he might have been just talking in general, decisions that are made. I don't know if he meant Robert Kraft specific to who will be the quarterback this Sunday, but it was interesting. And I got to imagine that with everything that's going on, Robert Kraft might be a little bit more involved right now than he has been, only because he's probably the one thinking, I'm the one thinking about beyond this season. I can't rely on my coaches to do that because whether or not he's going to keep Bill, nobody knows the answer to that, including the assistant coaches. So what are they doing? Are they having their little phone calls to survive and setting up, their careers for next year? Like there's a lot of uncertainty down there. And, I talked to some people who've been around the league for a while, and he admitted that's what happens when you have this type of uncertainty. Assistants start setting up stuff for off season because they don't know if they're going to have a job and they have families. They it's hard.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, it's
Mike looked like he was just troubled.
I got a family.
Is the content team under the
So should I be
We need
calling
an all-new content team.
Blow it up. Blow it up.
That's how it works in college. So.
Right.
That is how it works in college.
Yeah.
Like if you work
Really?
for football and your football coach gets fired,
Everybody.
that includes
out.
the content
Everybody.
team, graphic designer, everybody's out.
Well, we were laughing because
That's going to happen.
it's not
to
really
us.
funny,
You
but
tell us.
one of the teams that I forget who I think it was Gary Meyer mentioned the Chargers for as a landing spot for Bill Belichick, and the Chargers are known for like a happy-go-lucky content team. Like they're the ones doing all this cutting edge. They
Lobbing
make fun of other
bombs.
teams. Like
They would all
they
quit.
would be in for a rude awakening.
I think they would all quit. Like so they thrive off of like personality content and like their stuff is elite.
Oh yeah,
They would call quit. There's
like,
no way.
Imagine if like we could make fun of other teams. Oh my god, with the snark that we have in this.
Why are you looking at me?
You know,
You're the one that
Yeah.
openly despises half
well,
the league.
I would be there for that,
I
as
don't
the
know
young
if you
people
guys.
say.
I don't know. Oh my God.
I would be there for that.
Here for that.
No cap.
Have you seen all the content with the Raiders since?
Oh
Josh has
yeah.
been gone?
It's like the shackles have been taken off.
There was one quote that said, "Ding dong, the witch is dead."
Yeah.
Like there's been a lot of very interesting things coming from that
witches.
account.
Oh yeah, like
since
no
he's
one's like it's substitute teacher time in
yeah.
the
That
Raiders.
2-8 record they're
Yeah.
going to finish the season with.
Right.
Bring them into the offseason.
But they like the vibe in the building, Paul.
Right.
The vibe is
which
good.
there's something to be said for that, and I
good vibe.
I understand
It's
it.
also known as
Smoking
there's just
stogies.
nobody in charge. So it's just
Right. What are we doing?
I just got a bicep cramp. I was scratching my neck and my bicep.
What is happening?
I have a question for you guys, and
Specifically, anybody?
no, all
I
of
question-
you, all of you.
I got a question for you.
Well, Deuce is probably ain't for you because I know you don't really pay attention, but Tamara and Evan do.
What? Basketball?
Has the performance, not necessarily their individual performances, but the performance of USC and North Carolina with Williams and Maye discouraged you at all about either one of those guys?
For me,
No, not the team, but the player and Williams. But anyway,
I would say Williams off the field scares me. His dad and his emotions afterwards.
His
and
dad kind of frightens me. I don't
and-
care about the emotion as much as
and
everybody
like
else does.
whoever is making him, I don't know if it's him not wanting to speak or his coach not making him, like allowing him to speak after the game, but that's like not helping him for when he gets to the
every
NFL.
week it's something.
You gotta speak.
It's something every week.
Yeah.
You
He's
gotta
also
speak.
dropping dimes. So
Yeah, like that, like the father,
Yeah.
and you brought this up a few weeks ago about the LeVar Ball thing.
Yeah.
I think that's valid, and that's kind of hard to have and bring in. I don't care about the other stuff as much as everybody else does. It's not ideal. I understand why people are talking about it, but if the guy could play, I wouldn't worry about him crying to his mother.
Yeah.
I try to
Like, I didn't-
separate, like in terms of your question, I don't think it actually all like. I think a lot of people look at the draft and look at results, and we're not. When you're looking at the draft, the results are not really all that important. It's more about the traits, right? So like,
Agreed.
Yeah.
like
I think the
Drake May
argument
is
would
playing in
be-
an offense at UNC that's not very good. Like there's not a lot of talent.
The
around
argument
him.
would be like, just how good is this guy if he's the savior?
Yeah.
If he can't do better than 500 in college, And I know it's way different sports, and there's way more impact that one standout can have in basketball. But this was the argument against Markelle Fultz, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, when he was, everybody's number one overall pick, and Washington had like a 9-19 record, and everybody's like, how good can he really be?
Yeah.
Now in basketball, that was a red flag because one guy can't impact wins and
Oh
losses.
yeah,
So-
Trae Young
much-
like
much
single-handedly
more.
carried his team
but-
when he was in
So
college.
UNC was ranked 20th when they played Clemson. And on the broadcast, they said that the UNC coaching staff had some trick plays up their sleeve because they knew that Clemson's roster was significantly better than theirs. And they knew that they were the worst team, even though they were ranked better than
Yeah,
Clemson.
Clemson should be better than they have been this
and
year.
have had
I
really a
agree.
better
I've seen
year
them-
than Clemson.
I've
for
seen
the
them a
most
few
part.
times. They're not bad. Their record is.
Yeah. So
I don't know if it's bad coaching or what, but they should be better than they have been.
yeah, I think with Drake May, he's the most well-rounded prospect. Like when you just think about NFL first-round quarterback prospects, they tall, big arm, win at all three levels, has some mobility, has some moxie. Like that's Drake May. Like Drake May has all those traits, but I don't know if he has one trait that is the standout trait of the class. Like he is the best at this in the entire class. Caleb Williams is the best improviser in the class, and it's not close. Like he's the best second reaction Patrick Mahomes run around, make something happen in the class. Michael Penix has the best deep ball in the class. I don't know what Drake May's like elite trait is, but all of his traits are really solid.
I would, believe it or not, I would feel better if the Patriots had Caleb Williams come into the building as their quarterback if Gerard Mayo was the head coach rather than a first time. I know Gerard is a first time head coach, but an outsider coming in who's never been a head coach before, because he's going to have to deal with this guy who, he's got some, I'm the guy. And at least Gerard has that institutional knowledge here and comfort where he might be able to, deal with that.
Yeah.
But I worry about that because when I see Caleb Williams even walking around, it's either chin up or chin down. He's never just neutral. It's either I'm the man or my life's about to end. Like there's never anything in the middle.
Losing to your rival by like 30 points.
Yeah,
I hope he's not.
I never see him like just okay.
Even keel.
Yeah.
I think with him, so there are a lot of the hot names in head coaching hires right now. Ben Johnson, Bobby Slowick. A lot of those guys are running Shanahan adjacent type offenses where the quarterback needs to be like Brock Purdy. He just needs to press the right buttons on the joystick, right? Like you don't want the quarterback playing a whole lot outside the framework of the offense and those offenses. That's not Caleb Williams. So if you're going to draft a guy like Caleb Williams, then you're better off going with somebody from like the Reed tree, an Eric Bieniemy or someone along those lines that understands how to kind of foster his playmaking ability. Because if you're just asking him to just run the offense, and just be like this Brock Purdy type quarterback, you're taking away his superpower.
Well, sure, you want to play to the players' skills, absolutely, but like I said, I'm less worried about that than what happens when things don't go right, or receivers drop balls or whatever.
Well, that's you have to figure that out with.
Do I have a structure that can handle like this big time, first round high draft pick who's already come in with millions in the bank, and he's the S? How do I deal with that?
Yeah, I think that's where all the scouting in the draft prep is important. You have to find out what's inside a guy.
Yeah.
And that's impossible for us not being involved in that.
But he's good enough where even if you see
like,
flaws, you take him anyway because he's that
good.
good.
I just would caution into labeling something a strength or a flaw based on what you see on TV.
Fair enough.
Do you know what I mean?
Fair enough.
Now, if my scouts, went out and they talked to Caleb Williams and they're like, this guy's he's pretty solid. He's grounded. He's got the temperament to be able to deal with the slings and arrows. Going to Boston in that market will not be an issue for that. I'd be fine with it. Now, same thing if they said the other thing. If they went the other way, like Boston will eat this guy alive. As soon as he has two bad games in a row, he won't be able to handle.
Is Boston that tough in a market?
Yeah.
I think it can be when.
I mean, what if they've dragged Mac Jones through the?
So I'll say
not according to Paul.
No, because I think it's only recently starting to go that way.
Yeah, everyone's piling on now.
There's still a lot of people out there. You got to get them a line. You got to get them receivers. You got to okay.
I think
in our line of work.
I think a lot of people here are like fans first. I think that.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? I read a tweet today that said when Mac Jones threw the pass to Devontae Parker, kind of similar to the one that Mahomes threw to Valdez-Scantling last night.
Okay, well,
everybody beat up on Mac for it. Yeah. Can you name me one person in this town?
Strawman X.
No. I'm asking right now. I'm asking a question because I thought it was. I said in the post-game show it was the single best throw I ever saw Mac Jones make. The one that Parker dropped against the Raiders.
Well,
do you know one guy who blamed Mac Jones for overthrowing Parker on that play? Because I did not hear. Not even. This is one that I'm going to go literal. Not a single person did I hear say that was a bad throw.
I saw the same tweet, but it was in defense of Tua. Like everybody's up in arms because they drop balls on her, but Tua does it and it's silence. He throws a perfect ball.
This guy was trying to say that the throw to Devontae Parker and the throw to Jalen Reagor, I think in the Washington game, were deemed by the Patriots media as bad throws. And I would strongly argue against that, saying I did not hear a single person put those throws on Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't.
So there is still an element of it might be a small straw man to your point, Fred. Maybe it was just happened to be a tweet that I saw today. But I'm sorry, but that's ridiculous.
I mean,
no one argued Mac Jones.
I don't know what side of the street
against Mac
I don't know
Jones.
what side of the street this is, but I feel like those throws to Parker and Reagor were like really hard, like to expect the guy to catch it anyway. Like it's just in traffic. The one to Valdez-Scantling last night, it was just a straight up like he's in the clear. Here it is. Boom.
The one to Parker.
Do you know what I'm talking about? The
that's got
difference,
to get caught 100 out of 100.
I don't even know what I'm trying to argue right here. I'm not even like I'm just
that
saying
was a
like
perfect
to my
throw
eye,
by
like it was there, but there's guys all over him. It's a guy on his arm. Like it's I don't know. It's just to me that was.
If you're going to be a 50-50 catch artist.
I don't think
that's
that
like
was
your
a 50-50
role on the
ball.
team. That's like a 75-25.
That was a 99-1 ball. To me.
But-
I don't
yeah.
know very many receivers that don't make that catch that Parker did.
Yeah.
I really don't. And that's
Well, the Valdez-Scantling catch too was.
That was probably easier. That was probably
It's not even
easier.
necessarily easier. Just that you have to make that.
you
catch
have
as
to
an
make that
NFL
catch.
receiver.
You have to. Yeah, and the part about what stuck out to me was I didn't watch the entirety of the USC, UCLA, and the Clemson, North Carolina, but I watched chunks, and I saw both guys throw just like sort of eye-popping touchdowns that you look and you say, what amazing ability.
Right. The
And
ball
then
gets there.
And then I look at the end of the day, and I look at
in a hurry.
But I look at the point totals. Like Caleb Williams, I don't really care about the wins and losses when they're losing 52-42.
Like against Washington.
You know?
Yeah.
He's in a shootout with a team that's obviously better than his, and he's going, punch for punch.
He played out of his mind
Against
in that Washington
UCLA,
game.
that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Like he ended up with 13 points. Or the one touchdown was this like mind-boggling throw, and I'm wondering, am I putting too much on it? Because did you see the both of them kind of off their back foot?
Yeah,
The Williams one was
He
ridiculous.
climbed the pocket and threw it like 65 yards in the air. I think that's when we really start to break these guys down. Now, I mentioned like the coaching thing because I think without knowing who's going to be coaching them, it's hard to say which one I would rather because the system and the fit.
But you're still
matters.
very high on both guys.
Yes.
If you have 1-2, you're taking one of those two
absolutely.
guys.
Run the card up
Yeah,
there.
I've had like several of my moron friends have been like, "You still in on that?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
What are they saying? What do they want? Do they want somebody else, or they just don't think they're that
I
good?
can't even.
I
I
don't
don't
know
want to
why-
embarrass my friend.
Why everyone is like knocking on these guys
Tackle.
just because they're not like Trevor Lawrence who like never lost a game in college. Like,
Well,
they're
I
not
actually
all- they're
think
not all
Caleb
gonna be like
Williams
that.
is as talented as Trevor Lawrence
Yeah.
was at Clemson. He's just not on a team like Clemson.
Oh, yeah.
Like if I just Caleb Williams, you have to. One of those two guys is going to be the more consistent guy on film. Like who's the one that's making the more consistent decisions? Who's the one who's throwing for more consistent footwork and all those types of things? And that's the guy that I think I'll probably end up favoring because they both can make, to Paul's point, they can put up highlights like that. That's
unbelievable throws.
that's
They both
not the
made on
problem.
What's the
Saturday.
deadline the Patriots have asked for your decision?
I will make a decision 3 days before the draft.
Okay.
April
Really?
25th.
It's going to take you
Really?
that long?
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
watching
you're
you
going
on
to
Twitter.
disclose
It
your
was-
decision by then? What
Yeah.
are you, Bill?
Yep. I'm going to hold it close to the vest. I mean, you don't want other teams to know.
I feel like Evan has recency bias too, so it's going to
Oh,
depend
he
on
definitely
like
does.
just all the information.
I
after
do, but in
everyone-
this
yeah.
situation, like the circumstances are really going to matter. Like if you're putting the quarterback in the Patriots offense, like Bill O'Brien's the offensive coordinator still, and you're asking the quarterback to play within this offense, then I don't want Caleb Williams because you're taking away his superpower. But if you're going to hire somebody that's going to allow him to go and be Caleb Williams, like I think to Paul's, like you have to live with the fact that he's going to be up and down a little bit, especially early. Like, because he's going to make these ridiculous plays. C.J. Stroud threw 3 picks in that game on Sunday for the Texans.
And I say, so what? They've got a quarterback. you
Right.
know? Yeah.
So you're going to have to live with some of that with a guy like Caleb Williams.
Yep. All right. 855-PATS.
My buddy who I've been trashing says, we'll see how he responds now to adversity.
C.J. Stroud? I mean, they won the game.
It's just like unbelievable. It's like you watch all these games when you're home on the bye and you actually get to see it all. And you're like, did he watch the same slate of games that everybody else did?
855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket Hotline. Webradio@patriots.com is the email address. Let's go to the phones. Mike's in Puerto Rico. What's up, Mike?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
I wanted to. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, I wanted to take the opportunity to thank you guys for everything that you've done this year, which has been particularly hard. So, one of the few reasons that I still remain a Pats fan is mostly because of you guys.
Well, thank you.
The addition of
Those letters can be
Evan,
sent to Robert Kraft at One Patriot Place. Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, I did want to bring something up and see what your guys' thought on it is, and more specifically, how strongly you feel about this. And I think it was Brady's dad at one point that had mentioned that the tenure was not going to end well or something like that.
He
right?
did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm thinking back on it, and at the end of the day, the buck stops at the owner, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So taking that into consideration, the fact that we have arguably lost or ended badly with the best quarterback of all time when he left to go to Tampa, arguably the best tight end of all time in Gronk when he left, needed to be traded. Now it seems like it's definitely. Oh, and I'll also throw in there Adam Vinatieri, who was at that time, I guess, assumed one of the best kickers of all time as well.
Okay.
And,
I mean, you know.
But all three of those decisions have a common denominator.
Yeah, money.
And that's what and so this is where I was going to go next, Evan, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Well, now we're arguably about to lose or end badly with arguably the greatest coach of all time. So some of maybe the first three could have been tied into Belichick, but then are you tying in Belichick to it himself, or is the common denominator in all this is Mr. Kraft, who I appreciate again for everything that he's done, but at the end of the day is how much of this is on him?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fair question. It's a fair question. You're talking about money. We've talked about it before. No one really knows, like, how that's treated here. Like, does Bill have a budget that he can go over? And now we're talking, you know, cash over cap. You know, how much cash spending is made available to him. Robert Kraft has come out and said publicly he's never there's never been an issue with, you know, him not being able to get the players he wants. So I don't know, but it's a fair thing to ask. Like, how much of it is just, you know, purely money? You know,
I mean, usually in my experience, a lot of it is money. That's usually the biggest thing.
I would like give the real cash thing. This is not just me
thanks,
like towing the company line, but like if there was a direct correlation between cash spending and wins, then I would give it more credence. But the Cleveland Browns are winning now, but they have been in the last couple years near the top of the league in cash spending, and they haven't won a thing. So I just. If there was like a more direct tie to if you spend a lot, like baseball, I feel like baseball is one of those sports that if you spend a lot of money, your team is going to be good in it until the very end of the season. I don't know if football is like that.
There's certainly no guarantees. I mean,
No,
remember
there's no guarantee.
Yeah.
But isn't Philly high in that list every year?
They're like top 10. Mm-hmm.
And they've been pretty good for a while.
Yeah.
Cleveland is at the top of the list because of Watson.
Right, but I guess my point is just like, at the end of the day, if Mr. Kraft isn't the one, he didn't draft Cole Strange in the first round.
Nope.
Right, and if he's not the one that's going out and picking the groceries, so to speak, I have a tough time saying that it's his fault that it came apart.
Right.
Like, you know,
Right.
He's not the one making the
and
personnel.
especially if there were good players getting away that you're just like, we could afford that. Why is this guy going? We just don't want to pay him.
And I'm still, this still has to do with money, but I'm sure the Krafts are saying we're paying Bill Belichick the highest coach in sports, not just in the NFL, from what I hear, in sports. Figure it out.
It's got to be worth something.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
You know?
And I don't think that the Kraft family is involved in these football decisions directly like this, to the point where they're deciding who stays, who goes. And, yeah, when you sign a guy to a major contract, yes, the ownership needs to sign off on that. But
in terms of,
I don't think otherwise it's got anything to do with football.
But in terms of, like, how Gronk left, how Brady left, it's amazing that those things didn't happen more often over the 20 years. Because, yeah, when things go bad, people, you know, jump ship. But when things go good, like they had here, there's also that feeling of entitlement. And everybody's like, okay, where's mine? Mm-hmm. You know, and that happens too. And it's just as hard to keep it together when you have that type of success as it is when you have failure. It really is. And that's a credit to both Bill Belichick and the Krafts.
Well, I think maybe from a cash standpoint, Bill Belichick, whoever it was, whether it was both of them or Bill or whoever, convincing everybody that taking less money was going to help the team win more games was like the biggest thing that they ever pulled over anybody. Like convincing Brady that he should be taking like $15 million less a year because it's for the better of the team and he's helping the team out and all these types of things. I mean, like I could sell you a bridge.
Brady set the ceiling. You had to have the guy that was on board with that. Brady
Yeah.
set the ceiling. So how can I go in? I had 15 touchdown catches last year, but the guy who threw 50 touchdowns is only made. I can't ask for more than him, right?
Yeah.
He set the ceiling.
But in terms of career earnings, up to when he went to Tampa, Brady did okay. He allowed the Patriots to use his contract as sort of like a mortgage where you would take loans out. But every time they did that, he'd get more money up front.
He did fine,
Yeah.
absolutely. But I don't think there's much of an argument against the fact that he could have made more.
He could have made
if
more.
he held out every contract for the now. He's not alone. There's a lot of
Yeah.
guys that have done similar stuff. You wouldn't think it based on the amount of money like Mahomes is getting and some of these guys. But they've Burrow did the same thing.
Yeah.
Burrow just signed it. They've taken a little bit less than they could have gotten.
Mahomes certainly did.
And they'll keep revisiting, like Fred says, they'll keep using that as a mortgage, finding ways to, again, as Felger likes to say, give him a cocktail napkin. He'll figure out how you can make a couple of adjustments here and sign the guys you want to sign.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah. I was
Now,
thinking
it
too-
also helps to have that huge spike in the
Yeah.
salary cap that didn't exist back, 20 years ago.
I was thinking too, Fred, when you were talking about guys leaving, think about how close Edelman was to leaving. Think about how close Hightower was to leaving.
Yeah.
Guys who were literally
Well,
doing the
Hightower
rounds.
was leaving.
doing
until
the
he failed
rounds.
the
Hightower
physical.
getting,
failed a physical. Nobody
Yeah.
wanted Edelman.
And these are two guys that made plays that won you that last Super Bowl and right up to it. So
Yeah. I mean, players have a right to cash in and maximize every year they have because it's limited. It's limited,
Part of that's that luck thing too.
Yeah.
Mike is right. Edelman was the MVP of the last Super Bowl. What if he had signed with the Giants? What if the Giants were interested?
think of everything he did in those 3 Super Bowls he won.
And I'm not telling you
Is that
if
close?
they didn't have Edelman, they wouldn't have won. Because personally, I think they would have won, even if Edelman wasn't there. Would have been someone else catching those passes because Brady was there. But you could make an argument that Edelman was instrumental in winning. Certainly the one he got the MVP in.
Yeah, I don't know if they win that game. Without Edelman.
Maybe not. Maybe not. But maybe someone else catches those passes and it's business as usual. Who knows? But to your point, that wasn't like this stroke of genius that retained Edelman. They let him go out there. He didn't really get any offers. I think he talked to the Giants.
yeah.
Didn't really get an offer he wanted, and he came back. Now, when that happens, the guy goes out, gets an offer, and leaves. You know what I mean?
Consistent,
It's no change in philosophy. And people like me and you with the draft, me with the free agents, saying at some point you got to retain some of these guys, and you can't just let everybody walk away. But it's kind of what they've always done.
Yeah.
Let's go to Tim in Boston. What's up, Tim?
Hey guys, all this talk about stability in the coaching staff makes me think about how important it is that the next head coach is an offensive mind. This one offensive voice that everyone was talking about. If you have a defensive head coach and that one offensive voice is your OC, and he does his job, develops your quarterback, you have a good few years, he's going to get hired as a head coach elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
doesn't
okay.
happen if that's your head
okay
coach.
because now he laid the groundwork.
Yeah, you have to.
I don't know. They didn't lay the groundwork in Buffalo.
Well, one of the things that Bill did
good
really
point.
well here, up until the end when the brain drain just was too much, but he always nurtured young guys in the system so that he had bench strength when coaches left. He was always pretty much able to replace a lot of these guys from within. And you have to do that.
Charlie to Josh to Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
Well,
As an example,
Bill they brought in from outside, and he didn't get the job right away. But yeah.
I would just say, if Mahomes entered the league with what he has right now, I don't know what we would think, but Mahomes got to come into the league, and he had Tyreek Hill, and he had Travis Kelce at the height of their powers, and he was great. So now, yeah, people are like, what's wrong with Mahomes and the Chiefs? They got shut out in the second half 3 games in a row, but everybody knows Mahomes is great. And I would say the same to a lesser extent with Josh Allen. Yeah, their offense hasn't looked as good. He's still leading the league in touchdowns.
People don't. But he also leads the league in turnovers, Paul.
Correct.
You gotta
I know.
mention that.
Sometimes you
Gotta
throw Hail
mention
Marys on the
that.
last play of the half, and it gets picked off. I know these are the kinds of things that get lost on some, Ben Volen, who can't possibly analyze the game. Oh, that's 4.
Oh, 4, okay.
That's 4. Did you watch any of that game, by the way? I'm curious.
Which
I
one?
want to run this by Evan, too. The Jets-Bills game.
Too much of it.
Yeah.
So I would start, and I wrote this in my notes that I posted this morning. A lot of the improvement offensively for Buffalo was absolutely aided by the ineptitude of the Jets offense. Fully would admit that, right? They set up some short fields or whatever. I saw some passes and plays from the Bills offense that I haven't seen with Ken Dorsey in a year and a half. Like the little dump-offs to the backs on 4th and 1.
Yeah.
Easy throw and catch. There's no way. It's like a Mahomes play from the Super Bowl. Like, if you can't defend that, you're screwed. And an easy little 25-yard touchdown on a 4th and 1. Ken Dorsey doesn't throw that. It's probably like a 17-yard dig route to Diggs, which, high degree of difficulty that I'm just going to rely on Superman to make a play to Batman. Yeah. And that's the only way we can succeed. But again, if you thought that there was any difference between Joe Brady, you weren't really paying attention, Ben Volin. That's 5. Like he was all over Twitter all weekend.
I'm enjoying this.
Like I couldn't stop seeing things that I so passionately disagreed with.
I think I unfollowed him like 1 week into working here.
No, I actually do follow Ben Volin.
I follow him, but he doesn't show up on my timeline.
And I do like Ben Volin.
Maybe you muted him.
No. Outside of the business.
Maybe you muted him.
No, you have to really be pretty terrible for me to mute or block you. And
I do,
I
and I like Ben a
that.
lot, and now I know what's going to happen because I did this, because I was Snarky Paul today. People will add him for me, and then, whatever. But I do like Ben. I just I disagree with his football analysis from the weekend. That's all. It's not like a personal thing.
They definitely.
That's what we'll tell him.
I thought that was a good. In other words, I thought that was a good start.
Yeah,
it's dangerous for.
I'm not ready to tell you, hey, they just flipped the switch and they're back. They got at the Chiefs, at the Cowboys, at the Eagles. They have a really tough schedule.
Yeah, they made a lot more throws, I thought, in the middle of the field that were taking advantage of some of the space that Diggs creates, which I thought was better, like using him more as like a decoy sometimes instead of
he's going to love that.
all the time feeding him. Well, he's going to have to.
He looked pretty happy on Sunday.
And
I haven't seen him happy all season. To your guy has been pouting all year.
And they're getting Shakir on more of those, like what Cole Beasley was doing for them a couple years ago, like those little Edelman routes and things like that.
He also called that a fluke.
The Shakir one?
The slant that he put into a mail slot?
Keyhole, yeah.
Yeah, like
that was
fluke, he called it.
Nice run.
Thanks for the call, Tim. Let's go to Eldred, North Carolina. What's up, Eldred?
I don't know.
Hey, fellas. How you doing tomorrow?
All right.
Hey, Evan.
Yes, sir.
Got a bone to pick with you, boo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to
Did he
pick
just
with
call
you,
you
Evan.
boo?
Call you
Call
boo.
you
That's
boo?
a sign of affection.
I did. Hey, Evan.
What's up, babe?
I watched Michael Penix
Yes.
Saturday.
Yeah.
In the rain against Arizona State. And he was putting the dimes right where they was coming, right in the guy's hand. And they was dropping them up because of the rain. But they came back and won.
Yeah.
Maye, I see Maye every other weekend because I'm up here at the ACC. I'll take Penix over Maye and what you call him. I did like Jordan Travis, but my boy got hurt, and he's out for the year.
Yeah.
So his draft strap going to drop.
Yeah,
And
he's not
I
as
think
highly
they,
rated as the rest of those guys.
Michael
either.
Penix, no, you're right. I mean, Michael Penix, as I like to say, collects more dimes than any other quarterback in this class.
As he likes to say, Fred.
Throws
You always say that.
Drops more.
I always say.
Drops more dimes than any quarterback in the class. But have you looked at Michael Penix's injury history? Because it's not pretty.
I also didn't think he was great.
I
in
know,
that game.
but he still moved. He still moved a little bit after that, and he still throw better. And like I said, they still ranked 5 undefeated, and he done played against some tough competition. I done seen Caleb Maye.
They have good wins. You are right about that, Eldred. They have good wins.
But he has more talent around him. I don't hate Michael Penix by any stretch. The injury history worries me. He's blown out the same ACL twice. He has shoulder injuries to both shoulders. He's had 4 severe injuries in college, and he's going to be 24 years old as a rookie. Those things are not great.
Top first draft pick. He's in the top round.
Yeah,
first
absolutely.
round. Yeah, most people have him in the first round. I thought he was more of a back half of the first round, but it looks like he's going to be top 10 like everybody else.
Yeah. No, he's great deep ball thrower.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of wide receivers in this group that is darn good. Besides, Marvin Harrison is the top of the crop. But the rest of them,
I like the kid from Washington.
the ones from Washington.
I don't know how to pronounce
Roma
his name.
Dunes?
Johnny from Florida State, and there's a bunch of them.
Neighbors from LSU.
Keon Coleman, Neighbors.
I like Burton from Alabama.
My concern isn't my concern isn't that their talent isn't there. My concern is developing them. Like either choosing the wrong one or like not being able to
Get
develop
rid of
it.
Troy Brown.
Get rid of Troy Brown. Bring in
Fred's going to die on that hill.
Jefferson. Bring him in and let him train.
Okay.
Yeah, get rid of
Sean
Troy
Jefferson.
Brown.
Yeah.
He never did it. Well, y'all have a good one.
All right,
Thanks,
Thanks,
Eldred.
Eldred.
Thanks,
Did
I
you
like
quit on Lad
Penix.
McConkey?
Yeah, what happened to
Yeah,
McConkey?
yeah.
No, McConkey's actually better
He's
than
had
the
a
other
great
guy.
year.
I know. That's every time I see him pop up, I'm like, "This Fred's
No,
guy."
Lad McConkey is like a
He's had
legit
a really
prospect.
good
Like
year.
that's like a guy that's going to get drafted in the first 2 rounds.
I'll tell you the weird, like, another million reasons why I could never be in charge. The weird things that I'm impressed by with Michael Penix. Did you watch any of that game?
Yeah.
So they got the ball at the end. They're trying to grind out a first down. And how many times you see it? It was like 3rd and 7, pouring rain. He didn't just throw it.
Yeah.
It was a rifle shot.
No, he's got a good arm.
And like that to me tells me all I need to know about their coaching staff and their faith in their guy, that they're going to put it on his shoulders to win this game. And then he came through and did it. Like nothing fluky. Wasn't like we tricked the defense and got a wide open play. They ran a traditional third and long play that you would run in the middle of the second quarter with the game on the line.
Got it.
And boom.
If you want to build like a vertical passing offense like they have at Washington, then Penix is the best vertical passer in the class.
I thought that was his best throw of that game.
Yeah, he's
Mark's
got
in
good
Connecticut.
things.
What's up, Mark?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, Mark.
So had a question for you guys. Evan, Paul,
Yes.
have you guys had enough of listening to Bill Belichick during his media conferences on how he treats you guys? Because I would be
I don't take it personally.
And then the other thing is that you got pick number 3. Are we going with Marvin Harrison or are we going quarterback?
Tackle. It's a tackle pick for me right now.
I'll come across the table right now.
I'm going to play this all 5 months. I'm going to be the tackle guy. You guys are going to hate me.
We can't start getting
Which one,
into
the
that.
Penn State one or the Notre Dame
Well,
one?
I got to get back to you on that one, Paul. I got to check the hand placement right now.
So
and-
I will ask
So
Evan.
you want the
on
Notre
April
Dame one.
25th, I'll ask Evan which quarterback I'll get you a tackle.
You want
Thank you.
you want Joe Alt.
I'm going to corner the market.
want
Don't
Joe
you tell me what
I want
No,
Joe
you
Alt
want
just
Joe
so I can
Alt.
spell it. The other guy, I don't know.
Ola Fashanu.
What is it?
Ola Fashanu. It's not that hard.
Fashanu.
Her name was Zola.
Speaking of the
was a
draft,
tackle.
Adil writes in, I listened to the 2022 first-round draft show recently, and it makes for great comedy.
This isn't
boy.
good.
Reaction to the trade down. Mark Daniels' tweet, this is a really deep draft, so I like the trade. Fred says, I thought just the first round was weak, defending the overall quality of the draft. Deuce says, I read the best place to be was 20 to 40. Fred says, I think it's a great trade. Tamara says, I think it's a great trade because my people are still there. Paul says, I don't like it. I wanted McDuffie. Eric says, harumph. My biggest takeaway from listening, the Patriots are so bad.
I was thinking this year. I was thinking the
2022.
Gonzalez one.
No,
Oh,
no.
yeah. Oh.
I was so
You think maybe
excited.
McDuffie instead of Cole Strange might have made some sense?
Don't do it. Don't
Flex.
do it.
Flex it.
No.
Don't
My
do
biggest
it.
takeaway from listening, the Patriots are so bad that Fred has been completely beaten down. I miss the over-the-top optimism from our leader.
I know. We need to
That's
get that
true.
back.
Yeah.
We need to get. I agree with that call.
I had
I agree, too.
optimism when it was warranted.
Wait till they draft Caleb Williams. He'll be back on.
You know?
Oh well, I'll be back on if we
Everybody
have
will
an
be
actual
back
quarterback
on,
that can
yeah.
put points on the board.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like just watching that game last night, I was like, wow, this is what it's like to actually watch like NFL football. Like I
Oh,
feel
boy.
like a real offense.
how quickly.
2 real offenses.
Quickly we've fallen.
I
Like,
watched.
it-
I
you
watched
feel
some
like
of the
you're watching a
God
different sport.
yesterday. The God Shanahan, and that offense. The Niners are just.
Why, is the perfect passer rating good?
It's just poetry. Like it's just the way that they just create space in passing lanes and just conflict in the defense. I mean, Deebo Samuel there wasn't anybody within 20 yards of him on that one big play. And that's probably the one guy on the field that you're like making sure you know where he is. And he's still wide F open by 20 yards.
So back to our original
he's
talk about
unbelievable.
why are points down, right? Is it the quarterback play? Whatever. So the quarterback had a perfect passer rating, which arguably means he didn't make any mistakes in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Evan just waxed poetic for 2 minutes about the concepts that they had, and they scored 27 points.
I actually
I
didn't
just
think Purdy played that well in the first half.
I just think
he
it's
ran into some
different.
trouble in
I
that.
think they're making you go the long way, which is shortening the game and then you make a mistake or two here or there, you give up a pressure because I don't think the Niners' offensive line has been. I've watched the Niners a few times, and I feel like Purdy's been under a decent amount of
Trent
pressure.
still out?
No, he played. The first half
he's unbelievable.
was actually because when you see a guy had a perfect passer rating, when you pull it up, you expect the game to just be ridiculous, right? First half, I thought Purdy was actually a little bit shaky, but they make so many throws that are just
You
so.
hate Purdy. It's so funny.
Because he's just pressing buttons on a controller. Like I swear to God, like he's got George Kittle on the backed up on the goal line, and they just like bootleg it Purdy, and George Kittle is wide open like for a little throw into the flat, and then he turns upfield and gets 25 yards. It's like what am I supposed
Kittle,
to say?
I could have thrown right-handed.
It's like a good throw. Like I guess like good throw. Good job. All right, I'm gonna go to practice.
Good job.
All
Good
right.
effort.
Oh, boy.
So Evan's going to head out to practice. We'll get our first
I
report.
do not want you to return without a starting quarterback.
Yeah, take note who's starting. First
Evan.
reps.
And keep track of the mood.
Keep track of the mood, yeah.
That mood.
Yeah.
The vibes.
You're going to want that
The
mood.
vibes.
It's cold.
Webradio@patriots.com is the email address. Brandon writes in, do you think because quarterbacks know that their feet are an outlet, that they are less reliant on letting plays develop or really studying concepts or developing some of those intangible skills that
Probably
Tom
at
Brady
times.
or Peyton needed?
Yeah, probably at times.
Some guys more than others, I think that's something you try to...
First thing isn't there, I can
Right.
use my feet to escape.
Yeah.
That's what I've done all my life.
I think Big Ben, though, much less mobile towards the end, never relied on schemes or audible because he was so big and would move around so much guys would get free. When you can't do that, you've got to be smart. I remember Mahomes said he didn't start reading defenses until his third year.
Yeah, and I think I thought it was interesting, Mahomes, and I disagree with him just like I disagree with Brady. Talking about the number thing has been tougher on defenses, the different numbers on number 7 playing middle linebacker is harder,
Yeah.
I don't really see why it's that hard. You're identifying it before the play, just like you always would. What's the difference if he's 51 or 7?
Be a good deep dive question.
Yeah.
Most quarterbacks.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Well,
probably a million things I'm not
right.
taking.
I need to know if that's a DB or a linebacker, and is he coming or going?
Let's see. Max from
Can
Santa
I see your ID?
Max from Santa Barbara. First off, all this talk about Bill's got to go. Well, who's better? And who'll be sorry if or when it doesn't work out as you have planned? Second, why would anyone take a quarterback out of USC, the University of Spoiled Children? What quarterback from there has ever had a decent career? I'd take Harrison
Carson Palmer?
or the best available if he's gone, and I really like the kid from Mizzou, Brady Cook. He showed up and held his own against Georgia and such. Thanks for the forum. Been listening since 2002, way back when the show was all email, and King Tom would say, you know why?
Yeah, I would just argue, and when Evan comes back, remind me to get into the Lincoln Riley thing, because Lincoln Riley's had several Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks, and they in general have not panned out.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd just be curious to see if he thinks there's any correlation there. I'm not a big fan of the school thing. Especially when there's different coaches along the way and there's different systems. If you want to tell me Lincoln Riley's guys don't work, that to me would hold some water.
I will say, I had this thing for a while with Ohio State and Alabama that their guys don't work in the NFL. I mean, obviously outside of Jalen Hurts and Tua, Alabama, all those guys that started their national championship streak, none of them made it.
But Joe Namath was pretty good.
AJ McCarron, where are you?
But
What
none
are
of
you
those
doing?
guys were considered to be prospects.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
They were fine. They led their teams to national championships, but
Mac is the only one that was a prospect who didn't work out. Tua and Hurts were, first and second round picks, and Mac was a first round pick. McElroy, I think, and McCarron, those guys were day 3 guys, and
Even,
practice squad fodder.
Yeah.
When I was in school, was it Barrett and rest in peace? I can't remember his name right now.
Dwayne Haskins.
Yes, it's even Ohio State. It's
Ohio State that's legit because they've had
Stroud all of a sudden.
They've had a lot of quarterbacks, and most of them have not really been very good. And now Stroud has been excellent. I still think I watched Chicago, and I'm still intrigued by Fields.
Yeah,
I think this is a guy that I think if he got to a team that better. I thought they called plays great in that game for him. And did you see the throw to DJ Moore in that game for a touchdown? Climb the pocket. I mean,
Well,
I think he can play.
With the Bears picks, I mean, they're going to be tempted to take a quarterback,
You
right?
think so?
Well, yeah. I think that's all signs point to
I mean,
them taking a
he
quarterback.
could
I hope
be
they
a-
do.
So would you
Fields
trade-
gets to go somewhere else.
Would you trade Fields? Okay.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
Okay.
what I think they'd be willing to trade him. What would you be willing to give for him?
Wait,
We'll give you a
so
Mac.
Fred.
No.
Fred, my question. Okay, so say if they take the quarterback, they trade Fields. Would you take Fields and then take Marvin Harrison?
Yes,
Okay.
I would do that.
Well, there
So
you
then you still get a
And it's
way
all
better
done.
quarterback, but then you also get.
And I might
another
still
weapon.
draft a guy
Super
like in
Bowls.
the third or fourth
So
round.
what are we
but
trading
Okay.
for Fields?
I'd give them I'd give them a second round pick this year and a third round pick next year.
How about we give
I don't know if it
them?
would cost you that much.
Okay.
Yeah, it might not. Let's say we can give you
Third this year?
Mac and Taekwon, and we'll take Fields.
Yeah.
I love trades where take these guys that aren't working out for
Take
us
all
and
of
give
the
us
stuff.
something that
Well,
might.
But Mike, it's a change of scenery trade. You know,
Yeah.
you're going to get rid of Fields. You know.
Yeah, I'm not going to give them my first
We'll
this
take that
year,
off your
but
hands.
Yeah.
they might be asking for that. But
No.
yeah.
There's no way
For
you get
Fields,
a,
no.
But
I
I
don't
might
think you
give
get a
I might
first
give
for
him
I don't know if they get a second.
I might give him what about a second next year though, not this year's second,
Yeah,
and
I
a
don't
third
know.
this
I
year.
don't know
how about
that they would.
How about a conditional third that rises to a second if he starts X amount of games?
No, the conditional pick is on the
Mm-hmm.
table. Sure.
That would be
Nailed
clutch
it.
though
Nailed
to
it.
get Fields and your
Right.
your offensive weapon, another offensive weapon.
Right.
That'd
Yeah,
be-
but who's going
wow.
to block for
I
him?
am. I have to admit, I'm not good at those projected trades, like what guys are worth. I always feel like guys are never worth anywhere near as much as everybody thinks they are.
I'm bad at money too. We're like, well, how much would you pay him? I'm like, a gajillion. I don't know. Like,
See, I don't delve in a gajillion. I don't delve into that because I don't care. Like,
wait.
I only care if the guy can play.
Yeah.
If the guy's good, I don't care how much money.
So-
he
I
has.
remember we were doing a thing, and I just mentioned Anthony Jennings, and you're like, well, how much did you pay him? And I was like, I literally have no concept of what money. Would
I
be.
said
So
that.
Yeah, you
my
do.
other
I must have been
question-
having an out of body experience. I'll trust you.
I
There.
feel
I'm like,
like
I don't know.
this is another good one.
$6.50 an
Cardinals.
hour.
Do you think they're going to take a quarterback?
They could be tempted as well.
And would you take Kyler?
No.
Nah.
Oh, absolutely.
See, you would.
In a blink.
I wouldn't.
No, I'm not giving up like my first round pick for Kyler Murray.
Yeah. He's too small.
He's
I don't
Whatever.
want him.
He's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, and any
He's
of those
not my
guys could
future.
bring a little bit of excitement.
Justin Fields could be my future, not
No,
Kyler
not
Murray.
Kyler. Too small.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Likes Madden too much.
I like to delve into these things.
Gonna unravel.
Kyler Murray, who's actually had success in the league, is not the future. Justin Fields, who I am still intrigued by, but has no success.
It's a projection.
Right. It's a projection.
That's my future.
Yeah, it's my projection.
Yeah. It's a feel
It
for
could
the
be.
league, Paul. You know, you just
That's
a feel
an-
for the quarterback.
That's an odd view.
Yeah.
It's an odd view even for you.
Yeah.
Do you
oh
see?
boy, we're right back at Quarter
This is
Bachelor.
all- this is
right
all a
here.
mess.
Quarter Bachelor.
So,
Mike,
do you?
how
Would
long
you
have you
see
been
the
sitting on that
Giants
one?
taking quarterback if they somehow flunk
Oh,
their
yeah.
way into that?
Absolutely.
Even though they just paid Daniel Jones.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
Daniel Jones.
Yep.
Yikes.
I'm not even going to ask the question if you would trade for him because absolutely not.
Daniel
Dan
Jones?
Jones?
Absolutely not.
No.
If anyone did that, no one better do
I think
that.
he'd be better if he was Dan Jones.
Where are the Patriots picking?
4.
I would trade.
So
for him.
behind Chicago, Cardinals, Giants, Patriots.
If I
Is
can't,
that your 4?
if I can't get a quarterback,
3 or 4.
so I'm out of the
I
quarterback.
think 3 or 4.
Okay.
I would trade for him.
For Daniel Jones?
Yeah. I'm not giving you I'm not giving you like a first round pick or anything.
I'll give you a 6th-round pick for him.
Well,
running
it's going to
back.
cost you more than a 6th round pick.
Then I'm not. Then I'm not
And we'll
interested.
Or how about we just
Call him Dan.
trade the
I'm look-
Joneses? We'll
I'm-
take Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
You take Mac
Right.
Jones.
Who'd
Like
be
I
better?
wouldn't
Same
be
person.
opposed. I guess what I'm saying it's not even about necessarily the individual. I wouldn't be opposed to an established NFL starter while I wait to figure out how I'm going to get the guy I want.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why Kyler Murray would make sense for me. Kirk Cousins would have made sense for me.
I'm over that one.
Not anymore. And I absolutely would take a roll of the dice with Daniel Jones.
I like your new guard thing though, like a new member of the journeyman quarterback club, not the usual Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins,
I
not
don't
that
want,
group.
I don't want Baker Mayfield because he can't play.
The new fangled
Kirk Cousins
ones, right?
can.
Right?
I don't think Kirk Cousins is great, but he can play.
Let Baker bake.
Yeah.
Let Baker bake and lose 6 out of 7.
Ben in Brooklyn, what I want from the remaining games is less about rebuilding the winning culture, improving the draft pick, or losing, but keeping it competitive until the end. I want information. The last couple of weeks, for instance, have removed doubts I had earlier in the season about Ramondre and Barmore. The games have also shown that Tavai has a nose for the ball and can't be disregarded as a what was Bill thinking player. Zeke has also shown flashes. All signs suggest that Mack needs a fresh start elsewhere. Thornton doesn't have it, and maybe Strange needs more reps. But we need clarity one way or another, so I'm hoping for definitive answers, nothing more.
I don't know how definitive they can all be. I mean, you'll get information.
If you haven't gotten a definitive answer, you're not getting a definitive answer.
Like City, continue to see him develop at guard. I think that'll give them some options. Is Mafe going to get back in there, or is that kind of ship has sailed?
Hey, Marine, where's the food? Huh?
You guys have been patronizing this place for 20 straight years.
I was thinking about trying a different place today, though.
Maybe. Oh, yeah?
Maybe that was the problem.
Oh.
Did we go to a different place?
You'd think you guys would be like VIP status. They would every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Ron's in Orlando on the phone. What's up, Ron?
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
Okay.
Hey, Ron.
Hey, so I was watching the podcast, obviously, and I just got magnified on something you guys were saying that I just wanted to get off my chest and just kind of talk about. I have family who still lives in Massachusetts and in the New England area, and I swear so much of the Brady took less money thing is the funniest thing in the world to me. It's like every single time someone makes any kind of money, it's they're never going to win a championship. And I just had to come on here and just bring it up because I just think it's so silly, just so silly.
Like one of the tenets of a good football team is the quarterback must take less.
No, I don't think he must. I just think he did.
Yeah.
And I think he set a ceiling within the locker room. No one's going to make more than Brady, and Brady's not, holding out for every last dime.
Right. And by the way,
I do think that was part of their success.
Yeah.
In the early part of the dynasty, when it mattered, because the salary cap, I didn't always think the salary cap was meaningless. That's only more of a 2010 and on kind of thing. Once the numbers got so big and so easily manipulated. But back then, Fred and I were lockstep. You have to worry about how you're structuring your contracts because you can't pay everybody.
Yeah. And I was just going to add to your point with by the way, you're going to compete for a Super Bowl every year. You're at worst probably just going to be in the conference championship game.
And that helped you get guys.
And
Absolutely.
You can guarantee it.
It helped get you guys to stay, and it helped attract guys.
Yep. Older veterans that were looking for the ring.
Like those wide receivers that just, oh, man, what's it like to play with Brady? That guy throws a nice ball.
Yeah, some of them worked, some of them didn't. But, I think that the fact that they had so much success and had a program established.
Jack in Ann Arbor says, in the climactic chariot race of the epic movie Ben-Hur, how does the hero win the race? Ben-Hur wins the chariot race because he's driving the finest team of Arabian horses in the world. The lesson is that to win the race, you must have the horses. The Patriots simply do not have the horses to win the race in the NFL. From this point on, all the Patriots' energy should be focused on acquiring the horses needed to compete.
My dad had the record to Ben-Hur, and I just remember that. When they're rowing the boat, and you guys don't know.
I don't think.
That's the Wizard of Oz.
I don't think I ever saw Ben-Hur.
No,
I mean,
you never saw Ben-Hur?
I know of it.
What are you even doing on Easter every year? That's what they put
quite
on
a movie.
Avoiding that and the 10 Commandments.
Wow. Quite a moment.
Do you ever see them on TV? They go on for
the 10 Commandments.
Talk about epics.
Oh yeah,
they were 4 hours.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah, it was 6 records I think.
How's your first round pick now, Belichick? Let's go to Boston Cream. What's up, Boston Cream?
Hey guys, question for you: is this the biggest must-lose game in Patriots history since 1992? Paul, week 3 gave us Drew Bledsoe. Let me know.
Okay, thanks for the call.
I will say, if you guys aren't
Keep
following Boston Cream on Twitter, it is so funny.
What did he say?
He's hilarious.
Is this the
funny.
biggest must-lose game since
week
1992?
I mean, we're going to be talking about this game, I feel like, in April when we're doing those draft shows. And, here we are. I picked number 3 because the Giants are at number 2 because we couldn't figure out a way to lose to them.
I think it's possible. I mean, literally shooting our show on Monday, I picked the Giants to win. So.
How did you feel about this, Freddie? Can you bring yourself to that or no?
I can. I'm not going to shed any tears if we lose, but I think you go out to win.
Yeah.
But you're hoping to win the game as doing the blog and doing all this
I'd
stuff.
love to see the team play well and win the game,
See some flashes from some guys.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into it yet, but it's just the Giants played okay last week. I haven't seen the Patriots. We don't even know who's starting a quarterback for the Patriots
the Patriots
right
played
now.
okay against Buffalo.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to use like the one-time theory.
Is that like
no, like
6
3 weeks
games
ago.
ago?
So it's recency bias
not that
maybe,
far.
but like I haven't seen, based on where these two teams are right now, I don't know how you can. I mean, it's a huge leap of faith to pick the Patriots when you don't know who's going to be this quarterback. You haven't seen them score a touchdown in 2 weeks or 3 weeks now.
I'm like scared that Mac is. If it is Mac, he's gonna be too busy looking at Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau coming after him. Like I can't.
If they put Mac back out there, I don't. I mean, I think it says more about Bailey Zappe than Mac. Yeah. Like, how bad did Bailey Zappe have to be in practice this week to not earn just an opportunity for a looky-loo? Get a little popular in Bill's ocular.
Not a big.
Hardy.
Is that your key to
Hardy.
the game?
No,
a little popular in Bill's ocular.
What's a Hardy? It's a Hardyism.
Ocular.
Hardyism. As he comes in with a.
For
what is it like?
games.
Things to watch.
Things to watch.
Popular in your ocular.
17 different ways to say it.
Yeah. What are the other ones?
One more annoying than the next.
This is true.
At this point, I think I just want to learn more about people that we haven't really seen that much of. So Kayshon Boutte and Tyquan Thornton, I don't know what you're waiting on, but like we'd love to see them the rest of the season.
Thornton.
Play them. Why not?
Right. I just love
what
to
do we
see
have
them
to lose?
Throw Thornton out there every snap and just see if you can get anything out of him.
Until he snaps.
In a good way or a bad way?
I don't even know. Like, this is so different than anything he ever did for 20 years. I don't even know who he is
hasn't
anymore.
eaten his lunch yet.
I know, I'm hangry.
Fred hasn't eaten his lunch yet.
All right,
Alex in Burlington, I'm with you all that Gerard Mayo is the head coach next year. That said, I'm not sure who will be the offensive coordinator. I agree with Evan that changing the OC and head coach and going for a full rebuild may be too risky to start, so McDaniels could step in as a safe option. But what intrigues me is that if Mayo is the head coach, I think he'll bring back actual titles to the coaching staff and name a defensive coordinator. I would love to see DeMarcus Covington in that role. Nothing against Steve, but I feel like he's more suited studying and cooking up a game plan.
Well, it's not going to be Steve Belichick.
Than being a leader. However, I remember Mayo saying Dante Hightower would be a phenomenal coach. What are your thoughts if Hightower joined the coaching staff down the road? Yeah, sure. You have to pay his dues. You're not going to bring him in as DC.
I have no idea about a guy who's not a coach, but if Bill coaches somewhere, he's going to have his kids with him, right?
I would.
Now, if Bill
think-
doesn't
I
coach,
would
then maybe
think.
Steve Belichick is the defensive coordinator.
I would
right?
think, but I think it's also a complicated thing if Bill were to go to another team, and like I said last show, those guys got young families. They've only grown up around here. Like they pretty much just know New England.
Well, but that is the
It's
life,
major.
though. I mean,
No,
if you
I know.
want to be a coach, you know you're going to have to move
then
around.
they've had a charmed life as far as
Correct.
like they've walked right into it. They've
Fred, thank
but
God your food's here.
Things
Oh,
get
I know,
complicated. Fred was really worried about Paul getting his food.
Okay, food is here, Paul. You can't eat mine today. All right? All right, we'll be right back after we eat.
Get in on the action with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the New England Patriots. New customers can download the DraftKings app now and play free for millions in prizes using code PATS. That's code PATS only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
iPhone 15 Pro on Verizon. This holiday, trade in any iPhone in any condition for the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium, Apple TV 4K, and 6 months of Apple One. All on us with Unlimited Ultimate. Go to your local Verizon store now. 6 months of Apple One, then $10 per month. $999.99 device payment or full retail purchase with new smartphone line on Unlimited Ultimate plan required. Less $1,000 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. Promo credit ends if eligibility requirements are no longer met. 0% APR. Apple TV 4K and Apple One offers require eligible phone purchase with activation on Unlimited Ultimate. Additional terms and conditions apply. Visit Verizon.com for details.
What's up, everybody? Bill Belichick spoke with the media this morning. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
All right, morning. Everybody recover from the bye weekend. Yes, good. Good opportunity for for everybody to take a deep breath here. Excited to get back out on the field, get ready to go here. Have a good week at ready for the Giants. It's a good. Good look at the Giants. We saw them in their first game last year in preseason, and now we're kind of 2 years in, and you can see the stamp that Coach Daboll's put on the team, and in all three areas: offense, defense, special teams. So definitely have a good group of quality players. Some guys you really that are tough to deal with. Certainly Lawrence on defense is one of the top guys we'll see. Thibodeau, safeties are McKinney and Penix are playing well. The aggressive play style that they have. Offensively, obviously Barkley, is a major force, go-to guy for him. Pretty good group of skill players, and do a couple unusual things in the punting game that we'll have to deal with in terms of formations. A little different than what we normally see, but good solid group. Overall, I think the way they played against Washington is kind of the way that they are successful playing. Good defense, turn the ball over, hit a few key plays offensively, wheel route to Barkley, Slate and short yardage play action pass. Brian's a really good play caller, does a good job keeping us off balance. We saw that certainly in multiple games against them in Buffalo. So we'll have to really, do a good job there with just being disciplined and, following our rules and, being ready for kind of the unexpected, from anything from no huddle to, gadget plays to, just their normal conventional game planning. They're a good game planning team, both on offense and defense. So, get started on them today, and be ready to roll. Have a good week.
Bill, has a decision been made on the starting quarterback for this weekend?
I've told all the players the same thing. Be ready to go. So, hopefully, they will be.
Have you made a decision on the starting quarterback, regardless of what he says?
I've told everybody to be ready to go.
Yeah, but there's a difference. What you tell them and whether or not you made a decision. What's the difference?
Well, let you know on Sunday.
That's good.
Bill O'Brien said yesterday that Will Greer got some reps with the first team offense. Was that the first time that that's happened this season, and how do you look at those opportunities?
Well, last week we had an opportunity to kind of give the guys that didn't play as much more opportunity to run more of our stuff, less stuff off cards and scout team things. So that was, pretty much true for everybody across the board. We just ran. We didn't work on any scout team plays. We just ran our plays, so everybody got to run what we ran. So, we had some guys that were out there, some guys weren't out there. Wasn't a lot of the guys that have played a lot, didn't practice as much.
With the uncertainty right now, do you feel that there is a possibility Malik Cunningham could have a fair shot at getting?
I told every player to be ready to play. So, see how things go and go from there.
Bill, whoever does start at quarterback on Sunday, wouldn't it be more advantageous to have them take the bulk of the starting reps to prepare for the Giants?
I want everybody to be prepared.
How much of a challenge will that be when you have 3, maybe 4 possible guys?
It's everybody's job to do the best they can to be prepared. And we'll play a game on Thursday where there'll be even less time than we have now. So.
Have you given any thought to having a few different players play quarterback on Sunday, the kind of thing where you might sort of mix guys in depending on the situations?
Yeah, I've told all the players to be ready to go. So.
Would it impact how you guys game plan, though, based, just not knowing who is going to be playing?
Yeah, I think whoever we put in there will be able to do what we ask them to do. Otherwise, we wouldn't ask them to do it.
Abstractly speaking, when would a head coach generally want the player, the offense, and the entire team to know who's going to start that position?
Yeah, everybody needs to be ready to go, Tom. So that's where we are for today. Today's Tuesday. Go out there, be prepared, be ready to take advantage of their opportunities, and we'll go to Wednesday.
But it's like Friday. You want people apprised of the decisions and not walking in.
One day at a time. Right. Today's Tuesday.
So is it a competition this week, Bill? Like, are guys starting?
I told everybody to be ready to go.
But will your decision, whenever that happens, will be based on this week?
It'll be based on what I think's best for the team. And I've told everybody to be ready to go. Hopefully they will.
You guys still working without Adrian Clem?
Yes.
Is Trent here today? Trent Brown?
Yeah, everybody's here.
Bill O'Brien said yesterday there are enough reps in practice for the quarterbacks to have to compete for the starting job. Do you agree with that?
Look, at the quarterback position, you could run 4 times as many plays as we run and probably still not have as many reps as they want to have. So all quarterbacks, they can go all day. They can take a lot of snaps, and they want to. Going back to Tom and all the other quarterbacks we've had, they'll take as many snaps as we can run.
I guess from a coaching perspective, to see a large enough sample in practice, if you were picking between multiple options, could you afford those quarterbacks enough reps to make the proper
Everybody
decision?
needs to be ready to go. So what happened in the Dallas game, Jones went out, DeVito came in. That could happen on the first play of the game. Could happen on the middle of the game. Everybody needs to be ready to go. That's our job right now. Is prepare the team for play on Sunday. That's all of them. Not one of them, not 2 of them, but all the guys. And then the guys who are active, then when they get a chance to play, then hopefully they'll play well. And we'll coach well.
What are some things you've seen from Tom?
Well, so he came in the Dallas game, when Jones got hurt. So I don't know, what was that, middle of the second quarter or something like that. Made some good decisions, made some big plays for him. Just a little bit of lack of experience, but he seems to be pretty, football savvy, street smart. He's made some key plays on 3rd down in the right area, and done a pretty good job taking care of the ball.
You anticipate Riley being on the 53 available to you on Sunday?
I don't know. We started practicing him last week, so he is eligible. See how it goes.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no!
Replacements were shipped with FedEx, and with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
And now, great moments in history.
Spee writes in, he says, Dolphins are horrible creatures. The male
That's
bottlenecks
true.
engage in multi-day gang rapes and brutally kill baby porpoises and even commit infanticide against their own young. Everyone who opposes such behavior should be rooting for the Patriots this Sunday.
Well, I don't oppose that. I love this one.
That's
We get this one
Really?
every year, and I never knew any of this.
I never knew any of this.
I never knew
Dolphins are
any
bad.
of it
Should
until
we cancel the
until our
Dolphins?
listeners.
Dolphins-
Yes, until
Dolphins
our
are
listeners.
dicks.
Make them
I didn't know
change their
Dolphins
name
were
like we did
dicks.
to Washington.
I always thought Dolphins were like these gentle
man.
creatures who used to
They can be very vicious.
My
they
biology
steer
teacher got,
humans out of danger
I don't
when
wanna say
when
raped by
there's
a
like.
dolphin, but she got
What did you just say?
Excuse me.
Did
My
I miss that?
biology teacher in 6th grade
Was
went
sexually
on
assaulted by
swimming with dolphins and was sexually assaulted by a dolphin.
Wow.
Yeah,
True
dolphins are
story.
bad.
Jess Omo, call in if you're listening.
They so you know like when you get like the cans of soda or beer for Paul, you have like the circles, right? I'm sorry, I just had to.
That was
you
a
know,
little
like
gratuitous.
the plastic, right? Like that they.
Oh,
come
yeah,
in.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
like
Oh,
you're
the
supposed
They're
to
bad
cut
for the
them up
environment.
for
Yep.
the and
So I'm gonna leave them closed now. So they.
So one time I
Dolphin,
started
die.
cutting them
Throw
up
them into the ocean.
and Jess was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, like for the dolphins." She was like, "Screw the dolphins! Like they're terrible
Oh,
animals."
man.
And I had no idea.
No, the PF. I almost called it PFW in progress. PU listeners.
All right, I got to remember this.
Illustrated that for me.
1220, my wife, huge Dolphin fan, Dolphin has a dolphin tattoo, did dolphin research in college. She's very dolphin-y.
The movie
And so
Flipper
I'm going to have her
really did
tune into
great for
this
the
and
dolphin
give her
brand.
dolphin opinion.
That's another great moment from
All right. Welcome back to Patriots Unfiltered. 855-PATS-500 is the A-Stick and Hotline. Web radio at patriots.com is the email address. And while we're away at break, somebody came back.
Tom Brady? Oh.
Evan has returned from practice. Evan has returned from practice. Yeah, Evan has returned from practice. What was the mood? Who wasn't there? What did he see?
All right, Evan, the floor is yours.
The Patriots are back at practice post bye week with perfect attendance.
Yes.
Perfect. That was the most snarky, sarcastic yes I've ever heard. So that means that Trent Brown was back at practice, and as was Ty Montgomery, back at practice. we did have a brief window into positional drills, brief window that we can discuss, and there was some things that we saw. I don't think I would necessarily glean much from it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I definitively know who's starting on Sunday now, but
if you had to guess.
Mac Jones and Bailey Zappe were alternating reps in the positional drills that we saw.
Like, not series, but like one play.
No, so it was, they did change it up a little bit. It was like, at first, the first round, it was 2 throws for Mac, 2 throws for Zappe. Then it was like 4 throws for Mac, 3 throws for Zappe. Then, so they kept on playing with the number of reps, but I would say that...
Did they feel like they were running the same plays?
They were just running routes.
Okay.
It wasn't a full play.
I gotcha.
And I would say that the slight lean would have been to Mac Jones. Slight lean. I think he maybe throw 1 or 2 more throws, and he was leading off. He was the first guy up.
Yeah.
But I would, if I had just to be frank with it, I would say that it was alternating, and they're really. I wouldn't necessarily say that there was any definitive favorite based off of that.
Now they know everyone's watching,
Yeah.
so obviously, who knows what's going to happen when the media is gone.
We did get kicked out for a short period of time, which they've been doing more this year. That's not new for this week. That's been happening a little bit more. So that, I would assume, would have been
When
during...
they had the celebration of the starting quarterback. It was like the Lion King.
Yeah, right.
Probably more
Whole
like
map.
a walkthrough situation where...
Or that.
Or where the starting quarterback was probably taking the first team rep in the walkthrough. They didn't want us seeing that. But I thought it was interesting. I wouldn't pick a side in terms of what I saw in terms of Mac and Bailey Zappe, but it was a 2-horse race. Like this, there was no Will Grier, there was no Malik Cunningham.
No.
It was 2 guys taking reps and making throws, and it was Zappe and it was
2
Mac.
guys. Just 2 guys making reps, making throws, trying to win a football game. It's fun.
Anybody have any thoughts?
Is it?
No, I don't yet.
I don't either.
No. One thought I did have, though, is just I feel like Mac had always really kind of had to compete for his job a lot until last year. And these last 2 years, he really hasn't had that. And I wonder if that's part of not getting the most out of Mac. Like when Evan's earlier point of, nurturing a quarterback, trying to do the best, might have some competition brought more out of him. Like last year it was kind of like Brian Hoyer and they drafted Zappe. Nobody thought he was going to, really have any competition for that spot. But I don't know, just a thought I had.
Okay. Pads? No pads?
Pads.
Pads.
They were in pads.
On Tuesday.
Oh, and I would also say, so it was a little cold out. And not, we're already panicked enough about the team and the offense. The amount of drop passes that I saw just throwing routes against air was kind of alarming.
To the point where Valdez-Scantling was like, catch the ball, man.
Kayshon Boutte had one just like this, like he just did. Tyquan Thornton, like oven mitts, just like up like this, dropped it. Yeah, it was
from both quarterbacks.
For both quarterbacks,
Okay. That's not doing well for. Just let them play.
There had to have been like 3 or 4 drops in like a 10 throw sequence, and you do not see that very often on an NFL field. That guys are dropping passes
I agree with
that.
I have a question. How do you think the offensive line is going to shake out now that Trent's back? Riley Reif is potentially going to be activated. You've been playing on Wenu at right tackle. You've had some success there, but you're getting some depth back now, and you have Connor McDermott too, who really was probably going to be the starting right tackle maybe before he got hurt in Green Bay. So you got some choices to make now. I feel like. Do you guys feel like they might mix up that? Is Cole Strange potentially? Like, do you think maybe Riley Reif moves inside and takes Cole Strange's job?
This is probably impossible, but was McDermott moving around? Because I had been told that he was not looking good after the Germany game.
Yeah, so he did get he tweaked his knee. I talked to him briefly in the locker room during the bye week day last week, and he said that he acknowledged that he tweaked his knee, but it seemed like he was fine.
Yeah.
But to your point, Mike, like Riley Reif when he played, it was against the Saints, right? It was like 25 snaps, but it was probably some of the best guard play that they've had all season long.
So do you put him in for or do you put him in for Strange?
I would put him in for Strange, but you all know how I feel about Cole Strange.
I think I'm Team Evan too. It's the same stuff with him,
Yeah.
Do you feel with the weather in the low 40s that the media was dressed appropriately?
Grousing?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Some people came out, tough guys. Not going to name names, but
Tank top.
That's no fun.
No shirt
Yeah,
on.
No one's going to at you now.
You might as well go for 6.
Wait,
Ben Volen.
wait, so
No, Ben Volen wouldn't be at practice.
like coming out in quarter zips,
Yeah.
and then like they kicked us out for that initial little period that they didn't want us there, and then we get to go back, and like you could see like I thought I was only coming out here for like 3 yeah.
So this brings up a great question because I literally, when I got back, so for the bye, I went home and it's like 70 degrees. Got back here and it's freezing. And I'm like, is it too soon to pull out the parka? And I didn't want to be judged, so I brought a lighter jacket.
It was 19 degrees last night.
You got a
No,
park.
it's not
So it's not too soon.
But
I would say yesterday and today was
Yeah.
not too
Okay.
too warm
but
to
it's
wear
one of
any
those
kind of
things
jacket
that
you wanted.
if you pull it out too soon, you can't. There's no adding, right? Like that's like the final frontier. Like if you so
New England experience
Right,
right there.
so-
I reached for it and I was like, no.
if you pull out the goose now, then like there's no, you can't get anything warmer than that.
I just broke out the first jacket, like literally this weekend.
I'm still in the vest. I'm still rocking the vest. I don't want to believe
No,
that.
that's a big vest now.
That's just poofy.
Yeah.
Very poofy.
Down.
And then I also,
Down.
but I
You
also
could fit
believe
2.5
if you're
men
just
in
walking,
there.
if you're just walking from your
bad
car
thing
to
to
the
wear?
office, like you really don't.
It's Gore-Tex.
No, that's you're okay, Tamara. I say the same thing to my poor wife who got dragged here from California. Is just do what you got to do. Nobody don't be a hero. Like just get warm. Like you don't have to walk around flexing with no shirt on.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't bother me.
No, I'm not one of
like
those.
David Andrews in
Oh
Buffalo.
yeah, David
No
Andrews,
shirt.
for sure.
Ed writes in, hi guys, California chapter Patriots fan from Mass. I'm a hockey alumni from Northeastern.
Oh,
what's the name?
Ed Banda. Since my sister used to date Plunkett at Stanford.
Nice.
Oh.
So maybe just a little bit before your time.
Way before my time.
Make it fun. So what's your take on
And
Bo?
I was setting the record straight.
So what's your take on Bo Nix? I know it's far-fetched, but how about stealing Riley from University of, I can't say that, and draft Caleb or
Lincoln Riley
It just
and Caleb
breaks
Williams
down.
package deal.
Yeah.
I think is
but with Bo Nix.
the direction that was going.
With a little bit of Bo
What was the
Nix.
Bo Nix in there? There was some Bo Nix in there.
I missed the Bo Nix part.
Bo Nix
Nix
is
that.
an interesting player because he has some legitimately awful film from Auburn.
I was going to say Auburn inclusive.
Legitimately awful, like not draftable. But then he gets to Oregon, and now he's like a Heisman Trophy favorite. So which Bo Nix is the real Bo Nix is what you're going to have.
Normally
to
on the
figure out.
surface, I would say, SEC, Pac-12, big difference. But this year, the Pac-12 is really good.
Yeah. And he's gotten
Ironically,
better.
since the Pac-12 is no more after this year.
Yeah, he's got a lot of physical tools. He can run. He's got a big arm, but he's not this like precision pocket passer that's just going to stand there and make throws all day long. But he's gotten a lot better. But at Auburn, he looked like he was Jared Stidham. So which one is it? I don't know. Tough one.
Kyle in Pembroke says he has a hypothetical. It's week 18. The Patriots are 2-14. If they lose, they secure the number 1 overall pick. The Jets are playing for the last wild card spot. However, Belichick has announced that after this season, he's retiring, and the Jets game will be his last ever as a coach. As fans of the team, in this situation, would you rather the team lose to the Jets and secure the number 1 pick, but have Belichick's last game be a loss, or would you want the Patriots and Belichick to beat the Jets one last time to eliminate them from playoff contention, but lose the number 1 pick?
Lose the game.
Lose.
Lose.
Oh.
I'm going to shock you and say I'd rather him win.
Me too.
Keep the Jets out of the playoffs.
Yeah, I'd rather
I
win.
hate the Jets.
That's so wrong.
I know. I know it's
10 years of
I know it's not-
prosperity or beating the
Especially
Jets
if
and
you want
meaningless.
That, but also especially if Aaron Rodgers is back.
Yeah.
But to
Lose.
me, you're
lose.
I would
It's
need
gonna
a
be
little
loss anyway, probably.
I would need a
but-
little more information, just because is it like 1 or 2? Like win and it's 2, lose and it's 1. Then I'd rather win, because
What if it's 1 or 3?
that's a big difference.
Yeah.
I would still lose.
No, you would want to lose no matter what.
Lose no
You'd
matter
love
what.
to lose.
Oh, I'd love to
Also,
lose now.
2-14
I hope they lose on
sounds
Sunday.
horrible.
But then the question is, what do you do with that first pick?
Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
I don't think he has a question. I don't think we're going to have to wait till April 25th.
All
Just saying.
Spee is back from open heart surgery,
Spee.
so
Hope
he's
you're well.
recouping. Glad you made it. Intellectually, I get rooting for a loss, and in a vacuum, that's truly what I want, but it's really hard to stomach watching and actively rooting for the team to lose while the game is happening. Significant cognitive dissonance. Some people respond to that inner conflict by becoming intense fans of the tank process, maybe tongue-in-cheek, but maybe sincerely. Others focus more energy on doing a blame pie, yelling at each other on social media, etc. I'm more or less just lingering in anticipation of disappointment week in and week out, lacking much faith in the vision going forward, but also wanting to see sparks of hope for the future before glazing over and disassociating when the inevitable gratuitous mistakes happen. How do you guys deal with the inner conflict of simultaneously wanting the Patriots to tank and to win? Maybe it's different working for the team than when you were fans.
It is.
He makes a good point about when you're watching the game.
Oh, I root for them to win.
All
when
of a
I'm
sudden
watching.
now you want them to win.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I would
I
say
agree with that.
that's how I enter the games. And even like when we have locker room or press conferences, those press conferences in Germany where you see the lighter side of the guys, Bill's likable, and it's like, man, I like these guys, I hate, but when I get into the game and they start doing the same stupid stuff that they do for the last 3 years, I get mad, and then I'm like, I don't want to see them
I can
win.
tell you, Deuce was to the point he was so angry at the Germany game. And I don't mean to speak out of school, Mike, but Mike is like as on board as you can be, and you were pretty. I don't want to say you were rooting against him because you weren't.
No, it's just frustrating.
But you
get
were
upset.
completely like ambivalent by the end of that game. Like this is, of course he threw a pick.
There's another element too of I have to write during the game, and I kind of get all my thoughts in order. And you're like, are you really going to just all of a sudden pull out this crazy upset
Right.
at the end, and I have to change everything?
And that's part of the
there's
reason.
that superficial.
So you said these last-minute wins.
Like Spee said, like, is it different when you work for the
Fourth
team?
quarter
Yeah, it
comebacks,
is because you a lot of the emotion gets taken out of it because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a job, and
Yeah.
it is a little bit different.
But so much of
yeah.
it for me is just that we've been seeing the same mistakes. And I just find that as somebody who watches sports or has played sports, it's frustrating. You know, it's like you look up, 17-3, here we are again at
If
halftime.
they went out
like,
on Sunday, I think, and went 8 plays, 75 yards, touchdown, 3 and out, 8 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. I think people would
Yep.
look at that and say, "Wow, this is really nice." Like
Yep.
they're playing well.
Like
This
the
is,
Buffalo game.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that you can get on board with that. It's funny, like my friends, the ones that were sort of advocating for a tackle, they were at that game.
Yeah.
They're season ticket holders, and they were like, "This is awesome." And one of them in particular said it was really awesome right up until he threw the touchdown pass with 12 seconds left. He goes, "It was a thoroughly entertaining game. I loved it.
Yeah.
The crowd was great the whole game. It was so much fun." But in my mind, I was like, "We don't want to win this game at the end."
I'm always like, for the 3 hours that the game is on, and we're usually lucky enough to be at the game, for the 3 hours that the game is going on, I want them to win. Like I can't help it, right? You just want them to win. But before and after the game, the tank is on, baby. Like, and then when they lose, and afterwards, like when we're flying back from Germany, I'm like, well, they have the 3rd pick in the draft now, and like they're pretty good draft. So the tank thing kind of makes it. Not
Greg simply says, "Please start Zappe, bench the other guy." Okay. Cameron from Asheville, North Carolina. What would be the point of Mac coming back out as a starter? Evan said a couple weeks ago that if Mac was sent back out, that would be an indication of the team tanking. Is that still the case?
I did not say that. If I did, I didn't mean it.
I think I may have said it.
Okay.
And I kind of believe it.
Really anything they do right now is,
right.
But I think
if you're really tanking, wouldn't you put the worst guy in? I mean,
yes.
That's
why I think that's why I
right.
think that's an indication. When you take your starting quarterback out with less than 2 minutes left in a one-score game, you're telling everybody you don't think that your starting quarterback has the best chance of scoring. And then you don't play a game in 2 weeks, and you just roll him back out there.
Yeah.
The other thing about
I
it
wonder
is,
about
too,
the motive.
So I remember a few weeks ago we were talking to Bill O'Brien, and this was, I think, after the Saints game maybe. And someone asked him, like, would Mac benefit just from sitting, just for a few weeks as, like, kind of a mental reset? And O'Brien, and I think Belichick was asked a similar question. They both kind of balked at it and said, like, that doesn't really, it's the NFL. Like, we don't do that. The Falcons just did that.
Yeah.
The Falcons sat Desmond Ridder for what, I think it was 2 games, started Taylor Heineke. Now they're coming back off their bye week, and Desmond Ridder's the starter again. And they just did it because they felt like they had to hit pause on Desmond Ridder for a second and kind of reset him a little bit. And I just wonder that maybe it is only Zappe for this game or Zappe for 2 games, and eventually you do try to go back to Mac. But I maybe there is some truth to that working.
I agree, but just to what end do you go back to Mac? I mean, this is a question I'm pondering myself of, why go back to him? Do you think, is there any chance that his career is still going to continue on after this year? Do you think?
No.
Yes.
What I'm saying is I'm not necessarily saying that Mac is done forever. I just don't understand how he can play this week.
Yeah, that's sort of where I was getting at.
You benched him 3 times in 10 weeks, including, again, in my opinion, unprecedented.
Yeah.
The 2-minute drill of a 4-point game.
And did Bill kind of say something that wasn't 100% true today? he said something about when Mac got hurt in Dallas and came out.
No. He was talking.
Yeah,
he
talking
screwed
about
that up
Tommy
too.
DeVito,
but he was talking about the Giants.
Oh,
I was
because
confused.
that game was actually the game before that.
Right. So
he got hurt. Daniel Jones got hurt against the Raiders.
Right. So these are just some of the things that I hear him say now, and I'm just like, is he either getting old and he's just forgetting things, or is he just checked out? Like, which one is it? But
might be a little of both.
He's standing up there and he's like, well, DeVito came in the middle of the Dallas game, and I was like,
DeVito started the
I was like,
Dallas
no, he
game.
didn't. He started the Dallas
And
game.
he said it twice, so he didn't misspeak. He said Dallas twice.
These things are the things that make me wonder,
I got
like,
confused.
where is his head at?
See, I'm more confused
you're
than
with Bill.
Yeah.
You're
Jamie,
not as confused as Bill is.
Jamie from Connecticut, with all this talk of taking a quarterback 3rd or 4th in the draft, I'd take Maye, by the way. I understand you should want the higher pick at this point, but I'm still hoping for the team to win every game. I was wondering, what are your thoughts if by some miracle Mac's the starting quarterback going forward, the offense clicks for the last 7 games, and they win 6 of them? While I do know they haven't shown that they can do that, but what if that does happen? What would you want to do with Belichick and Mac for next year?
I'll defer.
Just keep him and run it back.
I think to Mike's point, though,
keep going 7 and 10.
Is there a chance that like Mac has a career after this? And
yes,
I think there
there's a chance
is,
of
and
that.
I think Geno Smith and a little bit Baker Mayfield with Tampa Bay like are kind of proving that are those guys ever going to be Super Bowl winning quarterbacks? No, but they're keeping the seat warm for the time being in their spots, and I just wonder for Mac if that sort of thing if he gets put into the right situation where he has DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and JSN and he's got all these playmakers around him and he's just playing football. I think that could happen, and maybe that's why you don't want to completely lose him.
Yeah.
Is if that does.
Do you feel like there's any chance it's here? In
No.
any capacity,
No.
even
No.
if he were to be the veteran backup for a while, something like that.
I don't think he would love being the backup. I think it would be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I feel like he would do like what Evan just said. If he goes and be's like a game controller, like how he describes Purdy, and just has the right pieces around him.
I do not like Purdy. I pile on Purdy.
He really doesn't like Purdy.
Jeff in Canada.
Easiest job in the league.
I have a bye week game for you with corny category names. It's called Ranking the GM Blunders.
Oh.
It's going to be tough, but which of these is worse for each category?
All right.
The first category, tight ends with loose ends. Jonnu Smith or Mike Gesicki? Which was worse?
Jonnu, because I think we were
Jonnu.
sold as
the contract,
him
is
being a
worse.
big piece. Gesicki was a
Good point.
1 year.
Okay.
I think
flyer
I think Jono at least could block, but Mike Evan makes a good point about the contract.
Yeah.
You paid him real money.
Way too wide receivers. Harry or Thornton? Biggest blunder. Harry.
Nikhil Harry. Timing of it is way
Yeah,
worse.
it's a first rounder, but they're still both reaches.
Yeah, that's a dead heat to me. But
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
I think
the
first
timing
round
is so much
status.
the repercussions of Harry were worse.
Yeah.
You, too old and slow. Sanu or Juju?
Oh boy.
I would say
Oh.
Juju is worse.
Yeah. I mean, Sanu was a desperation mid-season trade that they had.
Sanu.
Sanu?
Yeah, I think that one had the right intentions of adding a piece at
Yeah.
that deadline. So
Right.
but it just didn't work out. Whereas Juju,
They were
was-
relying on Juju.
Yeah.
They weren't relying on Sanu to
Yeah.
resurrect the team.
Ones that got away. Myers or Tooney?
Tooney.
I say Tooney.
I would say Myers, but Tooney's a better player.
To me, how they handled Tooney was a domino effect for this offensive line, and we're still dealing with it.
Shaq Mason, too, is playing out of his mind for Houston.
First round, out of line. Cole Strange or Isaiah Wynn?
Oh, boy.
Oh, Strange.
Isaiah Wynn had better.
Isaiah Wynn was far more productive.
Yeah, I agree.
The QB palindrome problem, Cam or Mac?
Cam. I mean, I think Mac was, you got him about where he was supposed to go. You needed a quarterback. Cam, I think in retrospect, we probably would have done Paul's thing. Just see what happens with Stidham and
Mac
let
is
it
the
fly.
15th pick of the draft.
Right.
Yeah, you're hoping that you're, okay, here we go. It's like Red Auerbach when they got Larry Bird, made a couple of these moves, and we're right back in there.
And finally, secondary.
That's basketball.
Who? Secondary.
That's hoops.
Secondary round thoughts. Razai Dowling, Juwan Williams, Duke Dawson, Cyrus Jones, Tavon Wilson, or Jordan Richards?
Who was worse out of all of those
all
guys?
in one big ball of suck.
Yeah, those were.
Duke Dawson never played a snap for you.
Yeah, that was bad.
All those other guys, I think, at least played for you. Not well.
Jordan Richards might, out of all their reaches, might be their biggest all-time reach. So that one, just as a draft
and
nick,
he came
that
back,
annoys me.
in 2019? Wasn't he back? He came back for a little bit. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember him in the Eagles Super Bowl trying to cover
He
Zach
looked like
Ertz.
he had shoulder pads underneath his shoulders. He had
Not-
the biggest shoulders
and
ever.
not in a good way.
Good news, you all win because there are no wrong answers. They're all blunders. Stacked blunders, some
good.
might call them.
It's hard to really split the hairs on some of those ones that are just really bad misses.
Stefan from Trinidad and Tobago. Isn't Marvin Harrison Jr. exactly what we need? I've heard it said that Mac's struggles are mostly due to lack of talent in the wide receiver position.
Yeah, and protection, though.
And Mac.
And a lack of running game.
And a lack of talent.
And changing coordinators.
And a lack of tools. in
And
the
not a
tool belt.
good quarterback.
And the defense not being able to shut everybody out.
Yeah.
And the special teams.
And 3 coordinators in 3 years.
I already said that.
Okay.
Joe Judge.
Todd's in North Carolina. What's up, Todd?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
All right.
I just want to say that Mr. Kirsch and Mr. Paul did a good job. I listened to Paul on the Six Rings podcast, and damn, he still got Andy's number, so it's pretty good to hear. My
Did you guys
question
get
to you
into it
guys
with
is,
him? No?
No, I
do you
don't
think
recall.
do you think that Bill Belichick might be expected to do more with less because of his contract? You said he's the highest paid coach anywhere. Is there an expectation like, look, we're going to get what you can, and you got to make it work?
I think there might be a little of that. Yeah, I do.
I was wondering.
Yep. I think
Okay.
that
Thanks,
could
guys.
be true. I'm paying you.
You guys have to fill me in.
Sorry.
I understand the line of thinking, but if that's the way that that's the truth, then that is not a very good way of operating.
Well, you're focused on players. But what if it's also extends to coaches? Like you can't bring in high-priced coaches.
Yeah, in general, I think that totally ignores the fact that the most important thing is the players on the field
And winning.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Shouldn't that be the goal?
Yep. Finally, last one. We got to go. Trent writes in, does the Cowboys' induction of Jimmy Johnson into their Ring of Honor mean anything to the Bill to Dallas rumors? Bill and Jimmy are good friends, and maybe smoothing that relationship over was the first step in luring Bill to Texas.
Probably not, but I love the thought. I love the tie-in.
That's a Boston sports radio.
Why did it take so long? Was there bad blood between them?
There was, the way they left.
Oh, yeah.
Between Jimmy Johnson and Jerry
Jerry didn't like it because Jimmy was getting the credit.
Right, but like 30 years ago, like that was.
Have
still,
you met
that
Jerry
was still
Jones?
A problem.
Well, I mean, like figuratively.
No,
Have you?
I just figured Jimmy Johnson's been back in the media for so long that usually those things just kind of get.
He also
ironed
said
out,
he also said 1923, which was hilarious.
I did hear that. I did hear that.
All right. Well, listen, we'll be back tomorrow, Wednesday. It's like a Thursday, right?
Picks.
Tomorrow's like a Thursday.
So then what's Friday like?
Friday's like a Friday.
Yeah, Friday is
So
still
there's
a
two
Friday.
Fridays this week.
There's 2 Fridays.
I'm very confused.
Well,
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of confused,
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
this
No,
in-season
today's
tournament,
like a Wednesday and tomorrow's like a Thursday.
Correct.
There is no
Right.
Thursday this week. They're
Yeah.
not. There's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Friday's Friday.
Oh, so they're not going to practice on Thursday?
They might.
well,
do a
they
little
might do
something.
something, but
Okay.
no.
That makes sense.
That's why they were in pads today on the
This
Tuesday.
in-season tournament for the NBA, very confusing, as well as the court in Toronto. I couldn't even tell where the players were. It was awful.
It's awful.
The
And,
courts are tough to look at, and
poor
evidently unsafe.
Poor Jaylen Brown strained his groin on the damn court. Sick. Thanks for that. And the format makes zero sense. You were 100% right. I can't explain it to you. It makes no sense whatsoever.
All right. We'll be back tomorrow at noon. See you then.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The world's original.